Mr. Reed, no. Mr. Risch. Mr. Risch, no. Mr. Romney. Mr. Romney, no. Ms. Rosen. Ms. Rosen, no. Mr. Rounds. Mr. Rounds, no. Mr. Rubio. Mr. Rubio, no. Mr. Sanders. Mr. Sass. Mr. Sass, no. Mr. Schatz. Mr. Schatz, no. Mr. Schumer. Mr. Schumer, no. Mr. Scott of Florida. Mr. Scott of Florida, aye. Mr. Scott of South Carolina. Mr. Scott of South Carolina, no. Mrs. Shaheen. Mrs. Shaheen, no. Mr. Shelby. Mr. Shelby, no. Ms. Sinema. Ms. Sinema, no. Ms. Smith. Ms. Smith, no. Ms. Stabenow. Ms. Stabenow, no. Mr. Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, no. Mr. Tester. Mr. Tester, no. Mr. Thune. Mr. Thune, no. Mr. Tillis. Mr. Tillis, no. Mr. Toomey. Mr. Toomey, no. Mr. Tuberville. Mr. Tuberville, aye. Mr. Van Hollen. Mr. Van Hollen, no. Mr. Warner. Mr. Warner, no. Ms. Warren. Ms. Warren, no. Mr. Whitehouse. Mr. Whitehouse, no. Mr. Wicker. Mr. Wicker, no. Mr. Wyden. Mr. Wyden, no. Mr. Young. Mr. Young, no. Ms. Harris. Ms. Harris, no. Mrs. Gillibrand. Mrs. Gillibrand, no. Mr. Blumenthal. Mr. Blumenthal, no. Ms. Hirono. Ms. Hirono, no. Mr. Portman. Mr. Portman, no. Mr. Cassidy.
I don't know.
Mr.
Okay,
Cassidy,
good. Fantastic.
No.
I don't have my whole setup right now.
Mr.
But
Menendez. Mr. Menendez,
what a day.
no.
My goodness.
Mr. Kane. Mr. Kane,
You're hearing,
no.
by you, I mean, maybe just me, and whoever might be watching this on YouTube, you're hearing this. This is the voting in the Senate at the moment for the objection to the state of Pennsylvania and its votes. And it overwhelmingly went no. I think I heard maybe 3 ayes, maybe. Ted Cruz was definitely one of them, some Scott dude from Florida. You might see some frame skippage. I don't know. Let me know, because I'm super curious about what Assassin's Creed is going to do with this new stream setup, with the bitrate and everything. I haven't tested it at all. I have no idea what it's going to look like. So, I mean, this is kind of twofold. One, I am heavily invested in politics. I consume it just as much as I consume wrestling. It's something I'm pretty interested in. It's fascinating to me. And today's been an obviously crazy fucked up day that one day your kids or your nieces and nephews or whoever, your younger generations, are going to be reading about in the history books. It is indeed that crazy of a day. And what's happening is, as we probably try to grind through Assassin's Creed Valhalla here, is going to be what seemingly is going to be a pretty late night. These are some old people. These are some old-ass people in our government. And it's 12:30 at night.
Mr. Sanders, no.
Hey, there's Sanders. Man, he's still spry, my goodness. He ran down to his seat. Whew. Oh, buddy. So basically what had happened is, and again, there could be frame skippage. I'm hearing frame skippage. I don't know what that's going to look like. Part of this stream is to kind of test the limits of my stream. I might as well have this be at least some sort of a productive day, because it has been pretty much a shit show. It's been absolutely nonsense, absolutely craziness, bonkers. What are you going to do, right? What are you going to do? All we can do is hope to do better. I think Pence is about to speak. Here we go.
The yeas are 7, the nays are 92. The objection is not sustained. The Secretary will notify the House of the action of the Senate,
Okay.
informing that body that the Senate is now ready to proceed to joint session with further counting of the electoral vote for President and Vice President. Majority Leader.
Mr. President, for the information of all of our colleagues, we don't expect
It's
don't
McConnell.
expect additional votes tonight. So, Mr. President, I ask unanimous consent that upon the dissolution of the joint session, the Senate stand adjourned to then convene for pro forma sessions only, with no business being conducted on the following dates and times, and that following each pro forma session, the Senate adjourn until the next pro forma session. Friday, January the 8th at 10 a.m., Tuesday, January 12th at 12:30 p.m., Friday, January the 15th at 10 a.m. I further ask that when the Senate adjourns on Friday, January 15th, it next convene at 12 noon on Tuesday, January 19th. Further, that following the prayer and pledge, the morning hour be deemed expired, the journal of proceedings be approved to date, time for the two leaders be reserved for their use later in the day. Finally, following leader remarks, the Senate proceed to a period of morning business with senators permitted to speak therein for up to 10 minutes each.
Without objection.
Bum, 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 bum. Okay, so the Senate is done. Basically, what had happened here is everybody votes, right? Everybody's vote counts. Your vote then goes to your electors, and your electors decide the will, right? So my county voted for Trump. My county voted for Trump. I might not have, but my county did. Okay, that's going to say, okay, this county here, going there, right? It's worth this much in the state, right? That all kind of feeds into this bigger pot. So Utah voted for Trump. So the electors that we send to D.C. send in their election votes, whatever, and this date happened like a month ago or something like that. And now we're to the point where we're certifying those. We're looking at those and we're going, was everything good? We're good then. Everything is good. It's been checked. It's been rechecked. Every conspiracy theory you've heard of has been debunked twice, 3 times, 4 times over by Republicans, by Democrats, by even people in Trump's own staff, people like William Barr. This is a show. This is political theater, and I am all here for it, because political theater, you see what it gets you. You see what it gets you. It gets you a possible insurrection, which is what happened earlier today. So now we get to listen in on the House, which is a little bit more crazy. If you don't understand anything about government, the Senate are basically your mascots. Well, I'm going to do this as a sports thing because people understand sports. Nobody understands what they're talking about when they talk about politics. Senate is pretty much like your head coach / mascot. It's like one person, right? And they go, okay, this is what our team feels, right? It's kind of a one spokesperson thing. Senators, that's what you are. You're just kind of a spokesperson for your state. That's it. House of Representatives are spokespersons for your county or your group of counties, your district, your area, right? So there's more of them, right? So there's going to be more disagreement in the House than there is in the Senate, because the Senate, I mean, they're all, it's like coworkers. It's like you might not agree with them all the time, but you work together. You get the job done. That's the Senate's job. The House's job is to bring up legislation and argue about it, and it gets really, really messy. It's fascinating. So let's listen in on the Senate, or the House now. They are going to get a message. This is pretty good. It's like old school British. Dear sir, the Senate has senteth their message. It's ridiculous, but it'll happen here in a minute.
Kamala Harris won by over 80,000.
Gentleman's time has expired.
So we'll listen to a little bit of this. I'm going to be playing a bit of Assassin's Creed. You can listen along with me. You can chat with me. If anyone wants to hop in, like, hey, Q. I don't know if Q is back. I don't know if you're ever going to see this. I don't know if you're ever coming back. But this would be the perfect time. If you want to jump in, now's the time.
And counter to our American values. This past Sunday, each member of this body took an oath to uphold the United States Constitution. And while the path of least resistance, particularly following today's events, would be remaining silent, my oath to uphold the Constitution does not permit me to maintain silence. While systemic voter fraud was not something proven We've witnessed a systemic failure in the application of Pennsylvania's voting law when it comes to the 2020 general election. In late 2019, the Commonwealth revisited and modernized its election law with the Bipartisan Act 77. Granted, in late 2019, the Commonwealth legislature did not have the foresight to anticipate how COVID-19 would present challenges to voting. Despite that, it is not up to the governor, the secretary of the Commonwealth, nor the state Supreme Court to unilaterally create law. The election abuses to Pennsylvania Act 77 taken by the Pennsylvania executive branch and upheld by the Pennsylvania judicial branch were clearly unconstitutional and had an obvious, if not measured, impact on the 2020 election.
Why is this here?
Particularly when it comes to the citizens' faith in the electoral process. Irregularities in Pennsylvania included uneven application of the law, ballot curing, ignoring signature validation requirements, using unsecured drop boxes, accepting ballots beyond the deadlines, and interfering with certified poll watcher access, among others. These actions were taken by the Commonwealth's governor and Secretary of State, while the Pennsylvania Supreme Court circumvented the authority of the state legislature. Furthermore, the chief law officer of the Commonwealth sat idly while this process unfolded. Now, I join
Nike, how's it going? How's Karate Kid? Hold on, let me mute this guy because he's just... he's saying something I've already heard. So, Karate Kid I actually really enjoyed. You'll probably get, like, my Twitter / thing about it. I enjoyed it. It was good. As an educator, I really like movies about mentors or mentorship in general, and I think Mr. Miyagi kind of deserves to be on that Mount Rushmore, to me, of mentors. There's Mount Rushmore in our little mentoring community here in Utah after school, and we've pretty much decided Mr. Rogers, Mary Poppins, those two are people who deserve to be on that Mount Rushmore. I would love to make a case for Mr. Miyagi. I think he is a fantastic mentor. I 100% would hire him. We're going to look past the whole giving children alcohol thing. We're going to look past that. At least I am. So, yeah, it was good. It was really good. And I hear that the sequel is even better. So, this is good. I'm super excited about Karate Kid. Yeah, it's my favorite movie that I've seen so far in this whole thing. And yes, I know frames are probably dropping. It's fine.
And remember, when a state's...
This is like a half test, half we're watching crazy political stuff right now.
Get to pick and choose. Pennsylvania was there when it was written. They were so enthusiastic about the Constitution, they approved it in 1787. My state, Maryland, is a little further down the wall, 1788. They were there when it was written. The clause that gave the legislature the power over the elections was there when they accepted it. It's been there since. How dare the judicial branch or the executive branch of that state usurp the legislative authority?
Okay, I'm going to try to collect these things.
That's a clear violation of the Constitution. Now, we heard there's no evidence. Evidence? The Pennsylvania Supreme Court unilaterally extended the deadline to receive absentee and mail-in ballots. Does anybody contest that over here? Does it say the legislature did that? No, it doesn't. It says
nice. I love that movie. Also, Karate Kid 2. My wedding song was the main theme to Karate Kid 2. What's the main theme to Karate Kid 2? Because there was quite a few things that I hear about in pop culture that was in Karate Kid 1, and now I go, oh, the whole kick. Like, I don't know if you know who Dr. Disrespect is, but he's pretty big on the 80s, and I feel like that's one of his big themes is Karate Kid.
On a ballot. Does anyone here believe the Pennsylvania legislature would have agreed to create a separate system for mail-in ballots and in-person ballots? That if you mail it in, you don't need a signature?
Where am I? I'm lost.
But if you vote in person, you do, and it has to be authenticated? Of course not. The legislature clearly wouldn't have agreed to that. But that didn't stop the usurpation of constitutional authority. Madam Chair, I vigorously
Glory of Love
objection.
by Peter Cetera. Interesting. Yeah.
Gentleman's time has expired. Without
Madam
objection.
Chair, my motion is
Without
tabled.
objection.
Thank you.
I'm sure I know that song.
The gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition.
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Okay, so if this guy doesn't say anything, I'm going to listen to that song.
We will not be picking the president. For the people did that on November 3rd. Rather, tonight in this House, we will decide whether American democracy survives. Let us be under no illusion. These are the stakes. If this objection succeeds, and the will of 7 million Pennsylvania voters is cast aside, it will be the end of our representative democracy.
Am I destroying that? What am I destroying
Now,
here?
there is no reasonable debate about what happened in this election in Pennsylvania.
Oh, this?
7 million Pennsylvanians voted. Joe Biden won by over 81,000 votes. This was certified in 67 counties by bipartisan local elected officials, including Republicans.
God damn, there was a
And
red. Where'd it go?
every
Oh,
single
there it is.
court, whether the judge is a Democrat or a Republican, has reaffirmed this outcome. The objectors, however, claim we do not know the will of the people because the election in Pennsylvania was somehow conducted corruptly.
So, okay.
Much of their objection
I'm kind of
centers
waiting
around
for
state law
the
passed in
clerk, because there's
2019,
going to be a clerk
known as
from
Act
the
77,
Senate coming to
that
tell
gives
these
voters
people
the option
that,
of
hey, the
expanded
Senate's not even
mail-in
arguing,
voting.
and they plan on not arguing for the
Objectors are
rest of the
alleging
night.
that this
They're
law
going to
was
certify
somehow
these
a
pretty
brilliant
quick after.
plot by Democrats
But the House is
to
up. They have up to
disadvantage
2 hours to argue, and
and
they're
rig
probably
election.
going to. All right, let me look this
This
up.
is
Glory of
laughable.
Love. I'm
Here
pretty
are the
sure you're
facts.
on the younger
Act
side.
77 was
I
a
am-
Republican-led
I'm
effort
sure you have
in a
heard it. Well, pretty sure you're on there.
Republican-controlled
Yes, I am. I mean, I'm 28. I don't know if that
Literally
counts as
every
young.
single Republican
I don't
in the
know. I don't know how
Pennsylvania
old you are,
Senate
Nikki.
voted
I know
for
that you
it.
play poker, which is
And
not
in the
like a young
State
person's
House,
game. So
the vote
I'm
among
assuming you're
Republicans
probably
was
at least
105
older than me a
to 2.
bit. Laggy. Oh Lord, yes,
Here
it's
is
laggy.
what the
Yep.
Republican
I'm not
Speaker
even
of the
gonna
Pennsylvania
dispute that
House
it's laggy.
had to
I have
say
like
about
3
Act
different streams up
77.
right now, so it's gonna happen.
This bill does not benefit one party or the other, or any one
Glory.
candidate or single election. It serves to
I'm certain I've
preserve the
heard of this. Let's
integrity
see.
of
Oh,
every
that's spoilers.
election and lift the voice of every voter.
Credit
in
Kid
the
2
country.
automatically popped up.
So there is no question as to the facts surrounding this
Oh,
election.
did I mute? Oh.
They are as clear as they are overwhelming. The ultimate question that we
Oh, I do know that, but I know it from a TV show called
or will we end it?
Yes, Dear. I used to love that. They would always like
Madam Speaker,
have songs
I
like
have been
that.
naive
Molded's
about
Dirt, I'm
one subject.
41. Jesus.
I always
Playing
felt
poker right now?
that
Nice,
our
fantastic.
democracy would naturally endure.
Yeah.
Almost as if
I do know that song.
predestined.
I actually so
never
it's
even
cool. When I was
questioned
learning
it until the
typing
last several
in my
years.
school, we had
2 centuries ago, one of our founding
we
fathers
had
cautioned against this notion.
music
John
being
Adams
played,
wrote, "Remember,
and it was
democracy
always
never lasts
80s
long.
love ballads.
soon
Elton
wastes,
John,
exhausts, and
Chicago,
murders
I guess
itself.
Peter Cetera.
There was
Like
never a democracy yet
constantly,
that did
boom,
not
constantly,
commit
and it actually
suicide.
turned into music that I
I
enjoyed
now realize the
quite a
wisdom of
bit.
his
So,
words.
yeah, Glory of
Never
Love's really
again
good.
will I take for granted our democracy. It
Yeah, so
must be
again, this is going to be a
jealously
laggy stream. If
defended
you're
by
here, I'm
every
doing laggy
generation.
stream. I'm listening to
Always.
politics. These are things that a lot
But,
of
Madam
people don't
Speaker,
like. So
despite
I'm
the alarm
once
I
again, I'm
feel
trying to kind of
that our
fine tune my
democracy
stream.
has been brought
I
to
need
this
data.
breaking
I
point
need to
as we
collect
see
that data
today.
in my brain, not only from
Nonetheless, I
politics,
still
but
maintain
from
hope.
the stream as well.
Growing
So
up in Philadelphia,
again,
raised
what
in an
I'm
immigrant
expecting
family,
here is
I was often
some
brought down to
really
visit the
old
historic
school.
sites.
Yes, Lord,
summer
we are
without
here
fail,
from
we
the
would
Senate
spend a
to
day
deliver
in
a
Independence
buying
Hall,
message. Like
Congress
it's
Hall,
legit
and Liberty Bell.
how crazy it sounds.
It was at
So
Independence Hall
they
where our
should be
nation
coming
was
in. I
declared
don't know where
free
they're
and our
at. Maybe I'm behind in the
Constitution
stream. Maybe I paused. I don't know.
At the Constitutional
Pierce
Convention,
Taylor was the lead singer of Chicago.
the
Okay,
oldest and
gotcha.
most
I was gonna
widely
say I was like I
adopted
could have swear that was a
delegate
Chicago
was
song,
Benjamin
but yeah,
One of our
there was a
greatest
show called
founding
Yes
fathers
Dear that was actually
of my
really
sixth
really
grade
good.
session.
If you ever see like
On the
replays
final
of it, or
day,
if you did
the last delegate
watch it, it was
signing
so
the
good.
Constitution, Franklin pointed to the painted sun on the back of the convention chair. Observing that painters had found it difficult to distinguish between a rising sun from a setting sun, Franklin went on to say, quote, "I have often, during the course of this session, looked at that sun without being able to tell whether it was rising or setting. But now at length I have the happiness to know it is a rising sun."
I don't know what this.
Madam Speaker, on a day like today, when a mob has stormed the Capitol and some members are threatening the core of our democracy, it can be hard to tell whether for American democracy the sun is rising or setting.
You should be able to hear me though, like whether the video
That
is
tonight,
laggy.
by an
You should be able to hear
overwhelming
me.
bipartisan majority in Congress, we will uphold the will of we the people and our democracy will live.
Hell yeah, random guy.
Time has expired.
Perfectly 5 minutes, too. That guy took a speech class. I wonder if they have a
What
timer.
purpose does the gentlewoman from Georgia seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise to support the objection. I'd like to point out that all of the
Who are you?
cases that have been thrown out on standing, not the evidence of voter fraud.
If
I'd
she
also
brings
like
up
to point out
affidavits,
people who for 4 years have failed to find a shred of evidence to convict President Trump of Russian collusion are the same people trying to discredit hardworking American poll watchers who are risking perjury by signing affidavits
okay,
confirming
she's
massive
muted.
voter fraud
She's
in
muted. I have no
multiple
interest
states.
in hearing
Same
from
fake
people
news who
whose
took
only
the word
evidence
of
is affidavits.
Christine Blasey Ford
It's
against
nonsense.
Justice
There's a reason that
Kavanaugh,
witness testimony
whose own
is
friends
not
denied
as
Jackson. Also
reliable.
dismissed the
So
sworn under
you say you're watching a bunch of
penalty
movies now?
perjury
Yeah, I'm trying to watch
from people who
365. I'm
witnessed the
hoping
election
to do
fraud.
about 3 or 4
The same
during the
fact
week,
checkers who
and then
told you
catching
that
3 on a
Dominion
weekend.
machines weren't
Tomorrow's
connected to the
Thursday,
internet
and I need to
and
get back on the
couldn't be
movie
hacked
theater train.
are the
Movie
same
theaters are
people
still
telling
open.
you
I
that
don't think
there's
they're going to
been
close back
no
down.
voter
And
fraud no violations
I want to
of
get back on
election
that.
law.
Not only because
But
I
it's been
really want to
proven
support movie theaters,
these
because
machines
goddamn,
are
I really love movie
connected and that
theaters,
they
and I
can
do
be
not want to see
hacked.
them go away.
We have heard repeatedly
big boy.
argued that objecting to these ballots is unconstitutional and violates the rights of
It's just something that I want to do.
They
Like
would
once a week
rather
going to
us
the
confirm
movies
fraud
would be
and
great.
pass
Even for
the
movies
buck
I have no idea.
back
Maybe
to
even
states
old
rather
movies
than
that I've
following
never
the
seen before,
process
just seeing them in the
Madison,
theater.
Hamilton,
This past Halloween,
Jefferson,
me
and
and
the
Panda B
framers of the
Mikey
Constitution designed.
went to go
When
see
states
Nightmare on
fail
Elm
to
Street,
do their
which is a
job,
movie I've seen a
we are
long
the
time
last
ago,
line
but
of defense.
I didn't see it in a theater, and it was kind of a cool
Congress is here
experience.
for this exact
So I'm curious
situation.
if I can,
We are here to be the fail-safe when states refuse to protect the
you know,
people's
accomplish
votes.
that. But that's cool.
By
That's awesome.
objecting today, we are
If you see any good ones,
telling
please
thousands of
recommend them.
citizens who
Karate
signed
Kid was
affidavits
on my list.
that
It
we
got
have
bumped
their
up
back,
simply
and we will
because
not
you
allow
recommended
local officials
that I
to
bump it
violate
up.
their own
So
election laws
thank you, Nike. I
to
appreciate
steal
that.
this election from
Okay, we're
those
good.
who
We're gonna
lawfully
unmute
voted.
her now
I yield the
because
remainder of
I
my
do want to hear
time
what she
to
has
the
to say.
member of North
I
Carolina.
feel like movies kind of suck,
I rise today to support the
now,
foundation of our democracy, the Constitution
and
of the
TV shows are
United
really good.
States
I
of
think I would
America.
agree with that.
This
And
document is the
mostly.
fabric and the
Where
solid
back in the day,
foundation of a
it was
nation
the other
we
way
call
around.
America, which has been a
They're all
beacon of
closed
hope
in
and a
Michigan.
shining
Yikes,
city
really?
on the
That's
hill
too
for
bad. No,
21
I mean,
years.
Michigan's
The words of our
probably super different
Constitution,
than
as spelled
Utah.
out in Article 2,
I mean,
Section
Utah
1,
is,
are
hey,
very clear when it comes to our elections, mandating, not suggesting, not implying, but mandating that state legislatures, not secretaries of state,
the new
not
guy
state
now.
commissions, not county officials, not governors, but state legislators.
This guy sounds like
prescribe
he's
the
also
time,
opposed
places, and manner
to.
of holding elections.
Oh
This
no.
mandate was not followed in the great state of Pennsylvania. If we allow this fraud to go on, an analogy, a football analogy, in the moving
God
of
damn
the
it.
goalpost after the ball has been kicked and in the air, the
I'm your guy
preview
for
of
old
coming
ones. I
attractions
know
will
you
be
like the
future
Terminator.
elections
Nice.
that do not adhere to honest and open voting by we the people.
That's good, yeah.
And the loss of our great
You could be my
republic.
guide.
As a lady told me not long ago, don't spit in my face and tell me it's raining. This is exactly what's happened to the American people in this election. In the words of Winston Churchill, when Great Britain was under siege by Germany, he said, there will be a time when doing your best
I
is
missed.
not good enough. We must do what's required. And we must do what's required to save this great republic.
So I'm wondering if he agrees with what's required to save the republic is insurrection
Purpose
and
does the gentlewoman
sedition,
from
because that's pretty
Pennsylvania
close to
seek
what's happening.
recognition?
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As terrifying as today was here in the People's House, it was thankfully fairly short in duration. In contrast, the pain and fear that so many Americans are experiencing this year has been long and
True.
continuous.
Yeah, they got
Very
aid
moment.
real quick when they came to the
Rather
Capitol.
than pitting Americans against Americans as we are here, we should be working to ensure rapid distribution of vaccines and adequate relief to Americans who are struggling economically because of this horrific
Yeah,
pandemic.
I know. It's going to be laggy.
But
I
we're
know.
not doing that. Instead, we have witnessed a stunning assault on our democracy itself.
Oh, no. Get rid of
This
these
challenge
guys.
is not an attitude criticism. The position of the objectors is completely incompatible with patriotism. Our country is defined by her great people, and our democracy is defined above all else by our Constitution. A constitution that these individuals want to ignore because they've decided that their judgment, the judgment of a small minority of partisan elites, should somehow override that of the more than 155 million Americans who participated in this election. That, my friends, is not democracy. We should all remember, this country's founding was a rejection of monarchy. A rejection of the notion
I bet I have to
that
come here on a
any
mission.
one person could be all-powerful. Our commitment to self-determination is what gave rise to our Declaration of Independence and our Constitution. It's why our founders made the choice to build a country anchored in respect for the rule of law, rather than one tied to the
I don't really want to go into a city. It'll make the lag even worse.
We have free and fair elections that allow us
So let's
to
just
vote out those who hold office.
just go over here.
I am proud to join the vast majority of my colleagues in both chambers, Republicans and Democrats alike.
So this lady's she got her head on her shoulders, thank God. So this lady is pretty solid.
Kamala Harris won a victory of 306
T2 is also really good, especially when it came out. The effects were unreal at the time. I've heard T2 is the best of the series. I've heard the same about Karate Kid 2, which is great because that's what I think about, like Dark Knight 2 and Lord of the Rings 2, like the second one, even the new Star Wars movies. I think the one that I'm more likely to watch again is The Last Jedi. Empire Strikes Back. I'm just a 2 kind of guy. So, yeah, like any of those old series, like Terminator, although I'll likely watch all of the Terminator series, I'll likely watch all of the Karate Kid series. But tell me, I'm curious, what about,
in fact, contrary to the
there's
assertion
Karate
of my
Kid
colleague
1,
from
2,
Georgia
3.
across the aisle, not a
Then there
single
is
lawsuit in
New Karate
Pennsylvania
Kid with
alleged
Jackie Chan
fraud.
and Jaden
She may not be
Smith.
aware of this.
Then
but
there's Cobra
allegations of
Kai.
fraud require
But what
specificity
about
and
the
detail,
next
and no
Karate Kid?
lawyer could
Should I
refuse to her
also
license
watch that movie?
to make such false
Let me know.
claims.
I think the original term was the
Several
best.
of the country's
Empire Strikes
leading
Back was
Republicans,
the best.
including Senate Republican Majority Leader McConnell, Senator Mitt Romney, and former Republican Speaker of the House Paul Ryan have spoken.
I think I agree. I haven't seen those older movies in quite a while, but I think I'd probably agree. It's probably the one I like the most. Hoth is awesome. Oh, Aliens. I think I've seen most of the Aliens movies, though, so I don't know if they would really count for my 365 challenge thing. Like, I've seen the one with Ron Perlman. I've seen most, like, the Chucky movies. Most of the horror movies I've seen. It's all the fighting and
his own vote by
80s nostalgia movies that I haven't, like things like Karate Kid, things like Terminator, kind of badass action movies. So like Waterworld or Mad Max, these are things I haven't seen that I'll likely be watching this year.
Today, I am thinking of all of the people who took the time to do their civic duty and vote. Many standing in long lines or
only Mr. M was in the next Karate Kid. It was him and Hilary Swank, and that's the one I think I've seen before. So as a kid, I remember, I swear I remember watching that movie. No need to watch that. You can stop after 3. Oh, okay. I think I'm gonna watch it just for the fun. But I'm pretty sure I've seen it before. So if I remember the movie, I don't think I'm gonna count it to my total. But I am curious, because that's one of the movies that, like, I swear I've seen it, and it's probably because of Hilary Swank, to be honest.
By each generation of service members and everyday citizens who put
Her
their
time's
lives
about
on
up,
the
isn't it?
line to build a freer and more equitable nation. They deserve better than what is happening in this chamber today.
Gentlewoman's time has expired.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I yield back.
How can I climb anything in this game, but not, like, this tree? Are you kidding me?
From Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise today to support the objection.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to start by making 2 basic points. Number
Okay.
1, individual states who administer elections must ensure that they're conducted fairly, uniformly, and in accordance with the law. And number 2, every American wants to be and deserves to be confident that our elections are secure and that all eligible legal votes are counted accurately and in a transparent manner.
I don't.
And I'll say this, in my
understand.
district, in Lancaster and York counties, I think that occurred. I'm very proud of my county election officials who upheld the Pennsylvania Constitution and followed the letter of the law. But unfortunately, that sentiment is not shared across the Commonwealth. And today, my objection is not about voter fraud. It is grounded in unconstitutional measures taken by bureaucrats and partisan
How do we even get
justices
there?
in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania that have unlawfully changed how this election was carried out. This potentially changed the outcome and certainly caused millions of our state's voters to question the election results.
But
Other
it
speakers have
didn't,
outlined this
though.
issue. In brief, Pennsylvania State Legislature in 2019
Again, we've went over all
passed a
these points.
bipartisan
We've
election law
debunked them
reform
multiple
bill.
times.
And then the partisan Pennsylvania Supreme Court took it upon themselves to rewrite that law.
How can
just
Ivor not
7
climb
weeks
this stuff?
before the
He climbs
election.
he climbs
They
waterfalls.
unlawfully legislated from the bench and made substantive changes to the law, including allowing for unsecured drop boxes and ordering that ballots received after the election be counted,
So,
among other things. And the
unsecured
Pennsylvania
drop
Secretary of
boxes.
State
Let me know
took
if
it even
anybody knows
further.
what this means. Because here in
Unilateral,
Utah, we had
unconstitutional changes
drop
resulting
boxes.
counties
What does
treating ballots
unsecure
differently.
drop boxes mean? Does
So that
this
some
mean
voters
that
had
these
the
are drop
opportunity
boxes
to
with
change
nobody
mail-in
just
ballots
watching
to
them?
correct
Like they're just kind of
deficiencies,
there like a
while in
mailbox?
other counties, their ballots
Like at what
simply
point
were
do
not
these
counted.
people like go
As members
against?
of
Oh, I think I
Congress,
figured it out.
we
At what
serve
point
as
do
a
these
voice
people
for
go
our
against
constituents. This is the
military
one time I
mail-in
have a
voting?
voice in this
Oh, if you're in the
process.
military, too
And I
bad. You're gonna have
cannot
to
simply
vote
look
some other
away
way because
when
mail-in, we're not
tens
gonna
of
accept it.
thousands of
Like
my
it's crazy. Like it's like
have
look,
real and
especially
legitimate
this year with the
concerns
whole COVID thing.
about how
It's like,
this election was conducted
what did you want them
in
to do?
Pennsylvania.
Stand in
In fact,
line?
I think
Like that's the
inadequate
whole
response
reason
to those
why
concerns by
Stacey Abrams was
Pennsylvania
so
officials
important in
is one
Georgia
of the major
because
problems.
those are the types of
Simple
limiting
measures like
factors
audits
that
should
stop
be
people from
routine
voting. I had a
and
friend
random and
who
supported by both
mentioned, "Hey,
parties.
why don't we just
And I
use
believe
our
they
like? Why
are
don't we just
critical
why don't we just
restoring
have
faith
everybody vote
in elections,
instead of do this?" And I couldn't
in
agree more. I
Pennsylvania's
think yes. Why
elections
don't we just have
moving
everybody vote? Like
forward.
we have
Bottom line
all of
for my
these online
constituents
functions.
is that Pennsylvania's officials
Let's just vote online.
at
And
all
there are
levels
great
failed to
arguments. Is there a
conduct
ladder here?
a uniform and
shitting
legal
me.
election.
Oh
and
my
for that
God.
reason, they
Oh.
inappropriately and unlawfully
Right.
certified the
Um,
state's electors.
I
With that, Madam
completely
Speaker,
agree.
I'd
Let's
like
get
to
more
yield the
people to
balance of
vote.
my
I
time
completely
to
agree
my colleague
because
from
then
Pennsylvania, Mr.
it'll be
Keller.
super duper hard
the gentleman from
to
Pennsylvania.
rig
Madam Speaker,
elections,
the
even
violence
though
that
there
occurred
was
in the
very,
Capitol
very
today was
little
shameful,
proof of any rigging
unacceptable,
going on in
and
this one,
un-American.
and
We are a nation of laws,
zero
not
proof
lawlessness.
of
We will
widespread
never give in to the law.
election fraud.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
even
to
some
the
of the
men and
election
women of our
fraud
Capitol
that was
Police and other law
proven
enforcement
was
agencies who are-
people
who
on
heroically
the
defended
conservative
this bill.
side.
The
And
criminal
they voted
behavior
for
we
Trump
witnessed today
like twice,
before
and they
us
tried to
does
vote
not
3
erase
times.
the facts before us.
And I hope these
I'm
people get
objecting to the
charged.
certification of Pennsylvania's
Just like I
electoral
hope all of the people
because
who committed
Governor
voter fraud
Cuomo,
on the liberal
Secretary
side get
of State Kathy
charged.
Boockvar, and the Pennsylvania Supreme Court violated the state
Anyway.
legislature's clear constitutional authority to set election proceedings.
This is a new guy. I think
Under
he's
the
talking
Pennsylvania
legislation.
Constitution, only the General Assembly has the power to set election law. Additionally, Article 2 of the U.S. Constitution explicitly grants state legislatures, not the governor, acting alone,
Waterworld's not good. You can
and
skip
not the
it.
courts,
You need to see the
explicit
original
power
Predator
to
if you haven't seen
determine
that. I've seen the
manner
Predator
of
series.
appointing presidential
Predator and
electors.
Alien I've seen.
Pennsylvania's court unlawfully extended the deadline to receive absentee and mail-in ballots. Governor Wolf's administration dismissed signature authentication procedures for absentee and mail-in ballots, allowed for the uneven administration of the election across counties, and unilaterally changed Pennsylvania's election code without the state legislature's consent. The Constitution is clear, and the facts are indisputable. This past weekend, each member of this body stood in this chamber and swore an oath to protect and defend our Constitution. I intend to fulfill my constitutional oath, which the people of Pennsylvania have entrusted in me. My objection is grounded in the Constitution and rule of law. If we allow the governor to violate constitutional rights of the General Assembly, what is stopping him from violating the constitutional rights of the 12.8 million Pennsylvanians our state legislators were elected to represent? Thank you, and I yield back.
Gentleman's time has expired. Thank you. What purpose does the gentleman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
That I oppose.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes without objection.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
He didn't see me. Get out of here.
Madam Speaker, I represent the 3rd District of Pennsylvania, which includes part of Philadelphia, the birthplace of America. It was in Philadelphia that the Constitution of the United States was written and signed.
Can we have a white thing there, gold there?
That we all
Where's this other one?
in,
This book of knowledge.
that upholds for all the members of the House of Representatives. We are elected to serve by our constituents.
Ivor,
And that
please.
is our job to represent them and their interests in Congress. Yesterday, I spoke to the son of the late Dick Thornburgh, who was a two-term Republican governor of Pennsylvania.
I don't know if I care about what this guy's talking about.
Under President Ronald Reagan and President Bush. His son stressed to me that his father would have wanted the rule of law
I don't really care about
to
hearsay.
prevail regarding political outcomes. But because he cares so much about safeguarding democracy than partisanship. Let me repeat that. His son stressed
I could pretend to
that
be dead.
regardless of political outcomes, he would prefer the safeguard of democracy rather
I
than
kind of like that.
political
That's kind of fun. Let's
In
do.
addition,
Let's put that there.
Al Smith, who was a Republican commissioner of elections, certified the results in November the 23rd. His quote, "I am proud that the birthplace of our republic held the most transparent and secure election in
This
the
is
history
great.
of Philadelphia." Instead
I'll check in
of
later
giving
if you're still on
time
Final
to
Table Bubble. Hey, good luck, man.
Results of our
Yo, what a
fair
kippo!
and lawful election, we should be spending
That's
this
dope.
time making vaccines that are quickly given to essential workers in our most vulnerable communities. People are getting homeless. We should look at rental assistance. We should ensure that that's available. Small businesses, engines of our economy, are needed grants and loans.
I'm gonna be the first to say this guy is not the most.
Hospitals desperately need support and help. We should be paying attention to
articulate.
the needs of hospitals. We're in the middle of a pandemic where hundreds of thousands of people are dying, and we're in a recession that is putting millions of Americans at risk for hunger.
Damn, where's that
homelessness,
Senate
and
clerk,
divorce.
man? Maybe I
It's
missed
time
it.
we start
It's possible.
legislating for the people. And one last person I want to mention is our junior senator, Senator Toomey. Very few things that he and I agree. But he
Okay, I
has
can't
stated
get.
very
Oh, I
clearly
can get that. And there's
that
also
Joe
a
Biden
white
has
thing
won
that I need to
this
get up in this
election.
area.
He has stood up
Where's
on the
that?
Senate floor and he has stated it. So it needs to be very clear
It's that way.
the late Governor Thornburgh, Albert Smith, the commissioner, and our current junior senator all have one thing in common. Democracy first, partisanship second. Let's keep that in mind. Thank you, Madam Speaker. You back.
So, the rules
Purpose
is
of- Chair recognizes the
debate can
gentleman
be
from
no longer than 2
Mexico for
hours,
5 minutes.
and
Without objection?
no one can repeat. So we'll see how long this keeps going.
Objection.
Without objection. 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. This is not how I imagined my first speech in the House of Representatives or my first week to be in Washington.
Wow.
The violence that occurred in this building yesterday is reprehensible and inexcusable.
I mean, that's true. They're
I'm
in a
appalled
new
by
day.
anyone who assaults our nation's law enforcement officers. I swore an oath on Sunday to support and defend the Constitution of the United States. We are here today, delayed but not deterred, to debate a constitutional question and follow a constitutional process. The Constitution gives state legislators, not state executives or judges, the sole authority to determine
Do you think
how
playing
their
dead
state
works with these
selects
ones? Let's
presidential
see.
electors.
I'm dead. I'm dead. It doesn't work. It doesn't work. It's bullshit. It's bullshit.
As well as in other states, rules and regulations were changed by executive fiat or judicial edit. These changes are significant and irregular. They included changes to vote by mail deadlines, identity verification requirements, and other ballot handling practices. In Pennsylvania specifically, the Democrat Secretary of the Commonwealth and the Democrat-controlled Pennsylvania Supreme Court usurped the constitutional authority of the state legislature Together, they exceeded their authority by extending the deadline for absentee ballots and by waiving signature requirements for those ballots. In their haste to make these changes, the Secretary and the court created two different unequal standards for voters. Pennsylvanians who chose to vote in person still had to have their signatures verified at their polling place, but those who chose to vote by mail did not. How is this process fair? This objection is about Pennsylvania, but it affects every state. As a state representative of New Mexico, Pennsylvania's unconstitutional actions disenfranchised my constituents and the constituents of my colleagues. It is my duty to give my constituents a voice. Signing these objections raises their concerns to the fullest extent my office allows. I again condemn in strongest terms the violence that took place here yesterday. We have many issues to solve, including reforms to restore all Americans' faith in the fairness of our elections. I look forward to those serious, civil, and peaceful debates. And Madam Speaker, I yield the balance of my time to the gentleman from South Carolina.
Thank the gentlelady. This process we're going through today isn't about personality.
Hold on, lady.
It isn't about Joe Biden or Donald Trump.
It seems to
As
be
hard
about
as
Trump.
Some try to paint it that way. Let me say the names and
You mean Trump?
personalities don't matter.
What? What did you just
This
say?
is gravely about the Constitution of the United States.
That's such bullshit.
Almost 20 years ago, after the attacks on 9/11, Americans were persuaded to give up some of their constitutional liberties.
Oh my god.
Using the justification of that global crisis, the terrorist attacks on that
Hold on, I
fateful
gotta listen to
day,
this guy.
America saw the erosion of their liberties for the safety and security which many felt they may receive through the USA Patriot Act and other resulting processes too many felt would keep us safe from another attack here on our shore. This year, using the justification of the global pandemic, COVID-19, we once again saw our nation's Constitution violated. You see, the Constitution is clear in Article 2, Madam Speaker, that the power and duty to set the manner of national elections rests solely with the state legislatures. That power doesn't rest with us. That power doesn't rest in the hands of unelected county election officials.
You know what? I'm going to be fair. Hold on. I'm going to be fair. Pennsylvania has an argument. Okay, fantastic. Awesome. But even if you take 20 away from Biden and give them to Trump, or you just re-vote, right? And let's say that Trump for some weird reason would win. I just don't think that's going to happen right now with everything that he did. If there is like some weird runoff, there's not going to be. But whatever. Even if you do take 20 from Biden and put him to Trump, it's still not close. It's still a devastating loss for Trump. Just saying.
Which is supposed to interpret the law, not make law. And when those non-legislative entities change the laws without getting the General Assemblies to change the law, in my opinion, the resulting ballots cast, either by mail or in person, those ballots were illegal.
What the hell? I don't know if I should go in here.
The resulting electoral votes should be considered invalid. What bothers me is that so many of you are okay with that. That so many Americans, because their person won, you're okay with the manner in which that victory was gained. It's politics. Look, I get it. But we didn't swear an oath to play politics. We swore an oath to the United States Constitution.
She's totally gonna lock. No, she's gonna lock me in.
The Constitution is the guide which I will never abandon. I yield back.
Gentlewoman, therefore, the gentleman's time has expired.
I'm not going in here.
For purpose, does the gentlewoman from Pennsylvania seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition to the objection.
The gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Good evening. And first, I do want to acknowledge the devastating events of the last 12 hours and to express my deep appreciation for those who have worked to secure this building and safeguard our democracy. And on behalf of my colleagues, we are all
I'm wondering if
grateful
this
for your
thing
service.
will kill her.
I ran for this office on a platform of civility and decency. And many of my colleagues and constituents know that I'm a third-generation veteran, and I grew up in a military household. What you may not know, though, is that I grew up in a divided household. Throughout my childhood, one parent voted Democrat and the other Republican. In my purple household, I learned that duty to country was far more important than party allegiance.
I can't kill her.
And with each election, my father would say, "And when the election is done, we salute smartly and we carry on." Now I live in and I serve in a community that has a lot in common with the home that I grew up in. It too is a purple place that honors civility and decency. Pennsylvania's 6th district is in many ways a microcosm of the
This is gonna go bad,
Commonwealth
watch.
and of our nation. Our voter registration in Chester County is 40-40-20 RD and I. Voters across my district commonly split their ticket, some voting for President-elect Biden while also voting down ballot for Republicans for our state legislature. What some of my colleagues are arguing today is that those ballots, those very ballots, are illegitimate. My colleagues cannot honestly believe that. In fact, just this week they joined me on the House floor to be sworn into this hallowed body, and they trusted that the votes cast in their favor were legitimate. And they're right. If those votes counted, so too must the votes for President-elect Biden. We have also heard today concerns about mail-in ballots. And I'm not a lawyer, but I am an engineer and therefore a student of numbers. It wasn't just Democrats who voted by mail. It was not a free-for-all, as it was described earlier. 600,000 Republicans in Pennsylvania across the state voted by mail. By questioning the election results, you're telling those Pennsylvanians that the hours they spent online to cast their ballots,
Military.
the trip that they took to the post
They
office
use
in the
absentee
middle of the
ballots.
pandemic just didn't matter. Alan Novak is a man who served as the chair of the Republican Party in Pennsylvania for nearly a decade. I'll say that again. The chair of the Republican Party of Pennsylvania for a decade is one of those voters I'm talking about in Pennsylvania. He lives in my district, and he split his ticket. He voted for me as his
God
member
damn,
of
this
Congress
lady.
and also for President
Not
Trump.
this lady
And
speaking.
he
The lady I
eloquently
just killed.
said,
Look at
What
this.
makes America great, exceptional, and enduring is our commitment to government of laws, our orderly constitutional process that settles our election disputes and our peaceful transfer of power with respect
I don't know if
and
I want these
civility.
fish.
He goes on to say that it is easy when it's pretty and the outcome
kind of
is not
fish are these?
controversial. But when it's not
Bullheads.
pretty and there's controversy, it's more important that we respect, honor, and abide by our revered and tested process for the orderly transfer of power. Perhaps that's maybe all that we can agree on, and it is a need for grace, respect, and civility. So I ask my colleagues across the aisle, are you willing to disenfranchise people like Mr. Novak and the more than 400,000 people in the Pennsylvania 6? Perhaps some of the independent and pragmatic spirit,
Why am I using my
spirit that is
axe?
so prevalent among voters in my community comes from the history of the place that we call home. Many Americans have visited Philadelphia and our historic sites, but very few make it out to my community, which is the home of Valley Forge. Here, General George Washington led the Continental Army to winter quarters. The war had not been going well for our young soldiers, and that winter was harder still. It was bitterly cold, food shortages and smallpox were abundant, and many people died. We remember what happened there because it was a test of our endurance.
Kind of annoying.
A demonstration of devotion to mission and to our country
The whole
over
fish
ourselves.
thing. The
Coming
hell?
out of that awful winter experience, our troops
What
emerged
is this?
better trained, united, and ultimately victorious. In those harsh, dark times, they found their common ground and their fortitude. Just like then, it is in
What
these
the
trying
fuck?
moments where we learn who our leaders truly are.
Why is
They're
she
the ones
here?
who don't just represent the people or give orders or ready us for a fight. They are those who educate, who speak truth. They inspire confidence and unity rather than sowing division and strife. There is a striking parallel between our nascent country
can't-
and what they
I'm
endured
so
in Valley
confused.
Forge
Why
and
is
what
she
we're
here?
enduring right now. A hard winter of division, illness running rampant, and an uncertain future. Today, our country's resolve is being tested, and I know that we will pass this test together and be made
I
stronger.
don't remember. Well, when did I
We now
start
have the
streaming? Because
opportunity
that's
and the
about, I think it was like
responsibility to
an
do that
hour.
tonight by upholding the will of the people.
We have,
by
they're
voting
going to
certify
uphold
the
it.
results of this
That's the thing that's
electoral
annoying
college,
is that this
and
is
by
just
moving forward
political
with a servant
theater.
heart and a common resolve to preserve this great experiment that is the United States of America. And with that, I yield back, and thank you, Madam Speaker.
Have I been to this
What purpose
place?
does the gentleman
I have
from
not.
Texas seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise in support of the objection.
Gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
It's with great pride and profound sense of responsibility that I object to the 2020 election in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm very proud to stand alongside fellow patriots who have pushed back against a fraudulent and criminal election process, a process that was the antithesis to the very rule of law that governs these United States. At the same time, standing here tonight is surreal because this is a critical juncture that will undoubtedly determine the survivability of this great republic. Our free and fair election process, and by extension, the people's trust and legitimacy, is what has separated us as a nation, a process that we've shared with the world its moral force. a process that now sadly has been bastardized by those more interested in the maintenance of power than they are in the free and open voice of the American people. If I remember correctly, Democrats were calling for transparency in 2000 and 2004 when George W. Bush was elected, and again in 2016 when President Trump took office. Where are you now? I ask this: what do you have to lose by having a thorough investigation to determine the validity of these votes?
A thorough investigation.
Why not encourage an investigation to relieve the concerns of half the people in this country? If you are so convinced that Biden was elected legitimately, what do you have to fear? If there was no fraud, simply show us the proof. Investigate it. Validate it. This isn't about one candidate versus another. This is about upholding the principles that are indispensable to the existence of the democratic republic that we are so fortunate to call home.
This dude's an idiot.
I have
The
no
burden of
doubt
proof
that
is
there
not
was
on
widespread
the
election fraud this past November.
defendant.
I am not
It's
alone.
on the
I stand here
accuser.
today speaking for 75 million Americans whose voice was unconstitutionally
Otherwise, there's no reason to go to
silenced.
court. We don't just go to court
you,
for
the
everything.
silenced, I say this.
There has to be
I will
standing.
continue to
There is
fight
no
for
standing.
you. You have been heard. For more than 240 years, tyranny has sought to extinguish the light of freedom. As Ronald Reagan said before, freedom is a fragile thing. It is never more than one generation away from extinction. The Constitution and the Bible on which it stands is stronger than the cheap, tyrannical tactics of those who seek to destroy it. And I yield back to the gentleman, Mr. Budd from North Carolina.
Thank my friend from Texas. You know,
All right, my
mob
phone's probably
violence
charged
is
now.
not representative of our country or of this building. The American people, at least the ones that are still up watching right now, they have seen this body return to a peaceful debate. And that's the American way.
Correct.
So let's get back to that debate, and let's talk for a moment about Pennsylvania.
Okay.
For decades, absentee voting was reserved for members of the military
Mhm.
and citizens who were medically or physically unable to get to the polls. But in 2019, Pennsylvania dramatically increased the amount of ballots that would be cast in the presidential election through expanded, no-excuse mail-in voting. On September 17th, Pennsylvania's Democrat-controlled Supreme Court violated the Constitution by extending the deadline to receive mail-in ballots. Article 2 states that legislatures, not the courts, determine the time, manner, and
Do we
place
know?
of their state's elections. But Pennsylvania's High Court directed the state officials to assume
How many
that
ballots came in?
postmarked ballots were received on time, without any evidence that they were sent before Election Day. On October 23rd, while early voting was already underway, the state Supreme Court ruled that election officials did not have to authenticate signatures for mail-in ballots. To sum it up, Pennsylvania officials illegally did three critical things. One, they radically expanded vote by mail for virtually any reason. Two, they removed restrictions when a ballot could be sent in. And three, they removed signature verification on those very ballots. And just this week, the Pennsylvania Senate pleaded with members of this body to delay certification until the Supreme
even if
Court
they don't have a
resolves
clear postmark.
these disputes. The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania violated their own constitution. They violated the U.S. Constitution.
As
They
long
opened
as
the
there
door
is
for
not
thousands
proof, it
of
was mailed
unverifiable
after
ballots
polls closed.
because they failed to guarantee the integrity
Yeah, I
of their
just don't
votes.
see an issue
I
here.
cannot consent to accepting Pennsylvania's electoral votes.
Time has expired. Chair will receive a message.
Madam Speaker.
Hey, here's the message.
From the Senate.
Yeah.
Madam Speaker,
Madam Secretary.
I have been directed by the Senate to inform the House that the Senate is ready to proceed in joint session with the House of Representatives.
Those mofos didn't debate. They went and
Does the gentlewoman from
got some dinner.
Pennsylvania seek recognition?
My goodness, it's been an hour.
In opposition to the challenge.
Gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes without objection.
Madam Speaker, this is a sad day for America. A day of shame. A day of ignominy. An attack
A
on
day
this
of what?
Capitol.
Ignominy?
An attack on our country.
By the way, her little iPad
Our
here
words matter. Mobs,
is bedazzled.
thugs, insurrectionists, domestic terrorists, attacked our government with the aim of attacking our free and fair elections.
So I'm curious as how many
Make no mistake,
ballots
these
came in
terrorists came
under
armed,
this.
armed with false flags, armed with hate, armed with weapons, and tragically armed with lies force-fed to them by those at the highest level of government, including some from the legislative and, yes, the executive branches.
10,000.
By the one at the highest level of government.
This article was on November
They attack
11th.
People, property, this capital, this cathedral of democracy. Words matter. In his last words,
Only
to our nation
10,000
and to all of
Pennsylvania
us
mail
here,
ballots
our
arrived
dear
after
colleague
Election
John
Day.
Lewis
Far
wrote
too few to
last
change. This
July,
is from Inquirer.
Democracy is not
Let's
a state.
look at other
It is
sites.
An act, and each generation has an obligation to preserve its institutions.
About 10,000
Democracy is a series of acts.
mail ballots
Acts
caused a
by
crunch.
you and by me, by citizens, one building upon the other and another.
Okay, this
Not
is
acts that we have
from
heard
Associated
and
Press
seen and
News.
suffered today. Words and acts to incite violence, acts that tear at the
I just
very
want the
fabric
number.
of
How
our
many came in
democracy.
after Election Day?
Yet, Madam Speaker, I have hope. We too
Because
are
the big issue
armed.
with Pennsylvania
We
was
are
not really
armed
mail-in
with the
ballots. The big
facts.
issue was they were not allowed to
We are
count
armed with
before
the truth.
Election Day.
We are armed with the love of our country. We are armed with our sworn oaths.
That's why they took
and
forever.
We are armed with our precious Constitution. We have faced tyranny and insurrection
So it seems
before.
like 10,000.
We are
So
here
let me go
tonight
to
herald to America and to the world. We will defend our democracy and we
Let's take a
will
look.
endure. When I came into
10,000.
work this morning as I was preparing to come to the floor, I read Tom Friedman's op-ed, which began with the words from the Gospel of Mark. For what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world but lose his soul? For what shall it profit any man? I urge my Republican colleagues
If
to
we
have the
assume
courage to uphold their oath, courage like that of
that,
Congresswoman Margaret Chase Smith, a lifelong
all
Republican,
10,000
and the first
were
in her party to speak out against
for Biden
McCarthyism,
and fraudulent, and they
putting
should be
duty over
discounted.
fear,
Let's
she
assume
said, and I
that.
quote,
Let's take 10,000 away from Joe Biden. Joe Biden wins the state, and if anything, Trump probably would have been within the percentage point to recount it without having to pay. 3.45. He would be at 3.44 million. Trump would be at 3.78 million.
Today we have seen the cost of
3.38
victory
million,
by
sorry,
such
3.3
means. It
to
shook the very walls of
3.44.
this building. Our
He's still
colleagues
down,
know
like,
there is no truth
100,000
to this
votes.
challenge.
It's nonsense.
What shall it
It's a
profit a
nonsense
man?
talking point.
Madam Speaker, it has been my solemn honor to participate this sad day. I pray for our country, and I yield back.
Now talk to this guy.
What purpose does the gentlewoman from Florida seek recognition?
To support the objection of the electoral certification of the state of Pennsylvania.
Without objection, the gentlewoman is recognized.
I think they have about 40
Thank you,
more
Madam
minutes
Speaker.
of debate.
As a new representative here, I did not envision my first speech on the House floor to be this here tonight, but rather a tribute to our first responders and frontline workers who have been a shining light in an otherwise tough year for us all. After the events tonight, I am especially grateful for our men and women who put service above self, confronting lawlessness and danger while protecting this very chamber, its members, and our constitutional republic. As a member of the People's House and the wife
They're not gonna show
of a
me, are they?
first responder, thank you to our law enforcement here today. But especially after tonight's unacceptable breach of the People's House, I am furthermore resolved in the fact that we, as representatives of the people, must take a stand for every American's right to a free and fair election as guaranteed by the Constitution.
What?
Article
What?
1, Section 4, Clause 1 of the Constitution explicitly rests the time and manner of our elections in the hands of our state legislatures. However, state law in the 2020 election was modified or circumvented without approval of the state legislature.
I said the day of the election, nothing.
Clear
By the way,
violation of the
President
Constitution, specifically Article
elect
2, Section 1,
Poop
Clause
stain.
2,
I
which
said the
grants
day of the
state
election, nothing will
legislatures
happen
the
unless
sole
Trump
authority
uses the military to
establish
uphold
how
the
state
Constitution. I don't know what you.
presidential electors are
What
appointed.
is nothing? Nothing will happen. I don't know what you're saying.
Changes,
You have to be
along
more
with
specific.
Other election irregularities
But welcome to
throughout
the show.
2020
This
election
laggy fest
require
show.
me, as a member of this body, to object to the certification of these electoral votes just as my colleagues across the
Those are
aisle
both underground.
have objected to every Republican presidential election over the last 20 years. Tonight, as we undertake the very
1, 2,
serious
3. Oh, this one was
responsibility of
underground.
debating these states' electoral certifications,
Can I not do these
I want
ones?
to urge
Uh-oh.
my colleagues
Let's go
to
get
listen
those.
earnestly and with an open mind, remembering that just 3 days ago, we swore an oath to the United States Constitution, not a political party. Our constituents are counting on us.
This is so strange. Like
Our children are
her
counting on us,
talking
and we
points are
cannot let them down.
weirdly left.
In December, 25 of my freshman
So weird.
colleagues and I sent you, Madam Speaker, a letter imploring you to investigate these election irregularities. And to date, we have not received a response. That brings us to today. My colleagues across the aisle have repeatedly invoked our founding father, Benjamin Franklin, who famously said, "We have a republic."
So much
and
slurring
we
going on
will
in this.
keep it. I say, let's keep it, and it is with that sentiment in mind that I ask my colleagues to defend the power vested in this legislative branch by the U.S. Constitution and
Where is
reject
this?
the
Down deep?
certification
Where is this?
of the electoral votes of the state in question. It is our responsibility to have courage in the face of adversity and bring integrity back to this process, and with that, I yield the balance of my time to the gentleman from the great state of Texas.
Okay, so quickly, like, if you want to bring, like, who do you think's more likely to do this? I get both sides are bad. I get that. But clearly they're not nearly as bad as the other. What side is more likely to be more
election integrity is the very lifeblood of our unrivaled
integrity
system of
based,
self-government. The law
based
and
off of what you've seen?
Constitution give Congress
It's clear.
not only the authority, but I
At
believe
least
the
to me.
responsibility
Yeah, I guess that's up for
to
debate.
serve as the last
Oh,
check
sorry,
on the
President-elect. Sorry,
integrity
my bad, man.
of our
We're gonna mute this guy. I don't know what he's
We either
probably
believe
gonna bring up
according to
affidavits or
statute
something.
that every election
None of the
is
things
lawfully
they
certified
did to win
and
will be
regularly given, or we
corrected.
don't.
Have you not
States
seen all of
certainly
the
have
fraud,
broad
like people
delegated
getting
powers
kicked
to
out of
administer
polling
federal
stations?
elections, but they still
So
must operate within the
again,
bounds of
right?
the
Like you have the right to
Despite
go,
receiving numerous petitions
and view, right? There's people
country, I
who
might add, the Supreme
you'd have to
Court
bring me a
failed
specific
to answer the most
situation,
important questions
and you'd have to
of the
know
2020
quite a bit
election.
about it,
Can
right?
entities
Because I
outside
have
of the
yet
state
to see
legislature
any
make
legitimate
election law?
argument.
The plain language of
If you're gonna
Article
bring
2
me
of the
Rudy
Constitution
Giuliani talking
answers
points,
the question
that ain't good enough, Chief.
unequivocally,
I
no.
need not
Decisions
affidavits,
made
because
today in these chambers
those are
are
just
of the utmost
people saying I did this,
and
I
the
promise,
horrible
and then they
precedent
signed
that will
on,
be established
right? Like
if we don't
that's not
act,
proof. You
will
need to
have
give me
lasting
proof,
impact on our beloved
right?
republic.
So
This
go ahead
proceeding is not
and link
just
it,
about the integrity of this election,
and we
Madam
can figure these
Speaker.
things out,
It's about
right?
ensuring
If
the
your proof is
integrity
based off of
all
YouTube
future
videos
elections.
and
I take no pleasure or pride in making
sensationalists
my
like
objection today,
Crowder, Steven Crowder,
nor do I
then
wish for any state
hey,
election
I don't
to
think
be
we're gonna have a
disqualified.
bit of an.
However,
I don't think
based
we're
on
gonna
the
agree,
law, the
but we can still have a
Constitution, and
conversation.
my conscience, I cannot support certifying votes from any state that violated
Like I said,
the
Pennsylvania
Constitution.
kind of has an argument
This
here.
decision is
They
not
are
about
saying
loyalty
this
to
is
a
not
president,
about
Madam Speaker.
that the
It's
way
about my
voting
fidelity
should
to
be
the
taking place
Constitution and the oath
is
that I swore. I yield
how.
back.
Hold on.
Gentlewoman
The way
Howard
voting should be
Howard.
taking place is certified under like legislation, right?
This says
They
the
have a point
gentleman
there.
from
That's a
Pennsylvania
legitimate
seeks
point. I
recognition.
think it's a good
Madam
thing.
Speaker, I rise in opposition.
Without objection,
But to
the gentleman
say
is recognized for 5
that we have to
minutes.
throw out
Madam
so
Speaker,
many
I
people's
came here
votes,
tonight
individual votes,
prepared
and
to talk about the
disenfranchise
place
them
I represent,
because
and
of
how
that,
well
especially
the
this year,
Democratic and Republican
seems
county officials
asinine
ran
to
our
me.
election.
Seems crazy.
I wanted to point out
Shit,
that
I can't
in
remember
my
if this is
home
where it's at.
county
I
of
think it
Allegheny
is.
County, in the place they were counting the votes, there
Yes,
were
it is.
31 video cameras. 31 in the same place, just showing people counting votes, every single one of them on paper with representatives from both campaigns watching. I wanted to point out to all these great lovers and supporters of the Pennsylvania legislature that it was the Republican Pennsylvania legislature that passed a Republican bill that they all voted for and supported. That
Whew,
set up
this
the
guy's going hard.
system under
This
which
is
we
this
could
is
bring
my
the
thing,
election.
all right? This is my thing, all right?
And that the reason the
This is what
president
this is
lost
what I
was
would say.
because he was not as popular
Focused
as
on
other
grinding this game right
Republicans
now.
in our state. He got fewer votes than all of them. I wanted to lay out all this evidence, Madam Speaker, because I thought it was a sign of respect for my
And it's
colleagues,
not about
for all the
elections.
Americans out there who don't know.
That's not what this is about. This is about
I was
them
raised on
trying to set up for future
I was raised on that respect,
ways to win. by they, I mean most conservatives. There's a few conservatives who I believe do have an opportunity in the future that could win if they play it right. I don't believe that Trumpists are going to be winning anything. Just like I don't think people like AOC, well, 4 people died, not 1. Just like I think people like AOC and Illinois, they are not going to be single-handedly winning elections either. They are going to have to bend down and play the game by the rules. That's just how it goes.
And for the most part, they walked in here free. A lot of them walked out free. And there wasn't.
All right, sorry, you have a lot of comments. Hold on.
Because of the way that they look.
They kicked them out. They kicked who out? You're being vague. Be specific.
My point,
well, the Democrats are destroying people's lives with lockdowns. When has there been a lockdown? You tell me. There's a lockdown right now in D.C. I live in Utah. I've not been locked down once. There's been curfews, right? But there's not ever been one enforced lockdown. Not one. Not one. Let's see. If that's your cup of tea, good luck living in a China republic. LMAO, the DNC did the same to rig it against Bernie, Yang, and any populist that fights for the people. Correct. Okay, so you're going to bring up a populist argument, right? And I think that's totally good. That's fine. This is how people like AOC, Illinois, the Squad, Donald Trump, this is how people got popular. Bernie Sanders, I would argue, is not a populist. He is an independent. He got popular, but he is not a populist. He understands how government works. And so he decided to play the game by the game's rules. I don't know how much you're involved in politics. I have no idea. But if you watch a bunch of YouTube videos, you probably know who Jimmy Dore is. Jimmy Dore, I'm going to mute this because this person is, I don't want to be talking over somebody else. So Jimmy Dore is against, sorry, I'm looking at torches. Jimmy Dore's against AOC right now. They're both left, right? They're both left. Okay, one's like very social, socialization, socialist. The other one is wanting her to be even more socialist than she already is. Okay, he's pretty upset and mad at her. All right. And this is a divide that we have on the left. I don't know how much you see this. Because I have no idea. I don't know where you get your news from. I don't know who you follow, what YouTube channels you get your info from. I have no idea. No clue. All right, I have no idea. However, this is happening, and the reason this is happening. The reason this is happening is because people want to push things more one way or the other. I don't think these sensationalist type people are going to be winning office alone. The centralized government is way too powerful. Klobuchar on the left, people like Mitch McConnell on the right, even though Mitch McConnell's a little bit further right than the center. Like Mitt Romney would probably be somebody who I would expect to see big things from in 2024, because the centrists clearly have told probably people like you, I don't want to assume your politics, people like you, that no, extremism is not what we're about. It's not what we're going to do. Just like in the primaries in 2019, when we were trying to figure out who's going to run in 2020, ended up being, we're not going to go for people like Yang. We're not going to go for people like Bernie Sanders, because we are not going to the fringes of our side. We are going to go to the center. It ended up being a good idea. We ended up winning the election there, right? Leftists, meaning. Okay? So that's just how that is, right?
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
I'm super confused.
The truth hurts.
Because there's people who say the same things you're saying. And I don't want to go on for a bunch because it's like me talking and then you not being able to respond, and that's not super productive. There's people that say the things you're saying, okay, who believe that it's all fraud, it's all rigged, you were screwed out of something, it wasn't fair, blah, blah, blah. But you're the same type of people that believe that the government is useless and it shouldn't have power and all of this other stuff. I just don't think you can have it both ways. You can't have it both ways, that they are an unstoppable force that rigged this entire thing against Bernie and the election, and they're a bunch of idiots that we need to get them out of there and put in populists because they're a lot better, right? I just don't see it like that, right? But I don't know. I don't want to assume your politics, but that seems to be where you're at, which is okay. But you're gonna find out real quick that that is not. It's not gonna win, right? You're basically playing Monopoly with playing cards, and it's like, oh, I mean, that's cool. It's fun that you're trying to play it your way, and then you're mad that it doesn't work out. Just like I was upset in 2016 when Bernie didn't work out for the Democrats. I was just as mad. I get it. I've been there. Got over it. Decided to play the game differently. Right? It's just how it goes, right? And now you and your people are going to figure that out as well. If that's indeed the side that you're on.
Madam Speaker,
I'm going to get lost in these fucking caves again.
The cornerstone of the strength of our American republic.
The squad are puppets to get a bunch of dumb young people to be violent activists. They do nothing and bend to the swamp. I'm so confused. What do you I need to hear from you what you think the swamp is, please. Because I don't think you think that word. I do not think it means what you think it means. But go ahead, go ahead. You tell me what the swamp is, and then maybe we agree, maybe we don't. I really don't think we do, though. I used to support Bernie, then Yang. After they screwed Yang over, I realized what psychopaths the mainstream media and Democrats are. They're cheaters, so I did my own research, and all of the left says about the right are lies. The right are lies. So are you okay? So what I'm saying, so what I'm hearing you say. First of all, I want you to describe what the swamp is. I want to know. The Democrats just gave a 5,000-page bill to foreign countries and 600 to the people. Yeah, that's the swamp. Cool. Okay. So are you a Trumpist? Can I just ask? I'm curious. Were you a supporter of Trump? I'm interested.
If we suspect that an election was compromised in a sovereign state,
I'm super curious.
In the seeding of those elections,
I'm going to go one point at a time because I don't want you to feel like I'm saying something and not letting you respond. So you described what the swamp is, and then we can get to your other point. But I mean, if you're for Trump here, this is going to be interesting. And then I kind of want to go down the line of questioning one thing at a time to see where you're at.
Were solely rested upon the elections of sovereign state governors or state senators and representatives.
Also, I'm glad you're around.
President, Vice
Thank you. Thank you. I mean, hey.
Certainly have a role. And we should
this is what I wanted to do today. This is it.
Speaker, America
I wanted to stream some wrestling, you know? But
born of imperfect men. Driven by perfect intent.
Shit happens. I don't know why those torches don't stay lit. That's really annoying. They should stay lit, absolutely.
What it is to be an American. What it is to be a representative of the American people.
Okay.
May I ask,
no, I'm a populist, and after BLM started destroying towns, I supported Trump. Awesome. Okay, so you're supporting Trump because you hate the destruction of towns and things like that. So how do you feel today about the destruction of the Capitol?
Thank you for yielding.
And Biden is linked to China, so there is that. CNN admitted it after the election law. Okay, well, I mean, what's so wrong with having connections to China? Trump has connections to a lot of different places, right? Like these are politicians. This is what they do. So and like populism, right? You're so pro-Trump. Did Trump not become a politician? If he was truly a populist, why would he continually put people in positions of power who contributed to what I would say is swampism, right? I mean, he put in Barr screwed him over, right? All of the people he put in place, he then said were idiots and then got rid of because they weren't doing his bidding. Do you think this is really because they're all a part of the swamp? Am I a part of the swamp?
Today was
who isn't a part of the swamp? Because I'm assuming the way you're describing it, the only people not a part of the swamp is Trump, Giuliani, not even Loeffler, the Republican senator who lost her election last night, 2 nights ago now. Not even her, not even she is for these fraud election things anymore. She has rescinded her objection. So I'm curious, who is not a part of the swamp? Because I imagine that list is going to be shorter than who is a part of it.
United States of America.
He got millions off of his political appointment from foreign countries. Trump lost billions.
Rules
I'm
and
gonna have to see
health
proof.
and teach 'em that.
Oh yeah, these guys don't like me here. Oh my god, we shouldn't have come to the city. Hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. We shouldn't have come here. It's very, very lively. We should go grind somewhere else. We should just leave this entire area.
The United States of America.
I mean, I could do the rock stacking, but that's just, I'm already pissed off. The rock stacking is gonna be awful.
Free and fair elections have always been a hallmark of
And I'm super frustrated because, like, I didn't really want to debate very many people because it's like, I'm just, one, I'm testing my stream, two, I'm listening in on the Senate craziness because I'm super interested. But the reason I didn't really want to debate very many people is because I hate text-based debates. I'm already kind of in a position of power over you because I have a microphone and you do not.
Gentleman's time has
Every single one that voted for the 5,000-page bill are people who didn't have dignity and are not swampy. Okay, so who are the dignified people that did not vote for the bill?
Gentlewoman is recognized for 5 minutes
On your
without
end.
objection.
And I'm going to go back to this for a second.
I started this day disheartened that our colleagues were going to drag us through this cynical political charade of objecting to duly certified electoral
There's
college
a bunch of mysteries in
But I was
Shire
ready
that I
and
don't have.
eager to defend Pennsylvania's elections
two. So I'm
and the
missing
will of
4.
Pennsylvania's voters. Never did I expect to be answering calls from family and friends concerned for my safety.
Let's go grind
or to have to
Shropshire.
barricade myself in an office. But most important of all, never did I expect to see our capital overrun by armed insurrectionists intent on disrupting our government at the urging of the president. What happened here today
I supported
has
Tulsi
made me
in the primaries too. Oh, I bet. Yeah, you'd love Jimmy Dore
But it
actually.
only
Like you should listen to some
strengthens
Jimmy
my
Dore.
resolve
2 Democrats, I
to
think,
uphold the rule
Presley
of
and
law
Tulsi in the
and to
House.
protect the
All right.
decision of
I
Pennsylvania's
supported
voters.
Tulsi in the primaries too.
Earlier this
Okay.
week, we raised
I don't know
our
much
hand
about
and swore an oath
Presley.
to
I do
bear
know a little bit
true
about Tulsi
faith
Gabbard.
and allegiance to the Constitution of the
And
United
she was
States.
rejected by the Democrats.
But today, those who are
Much like
blocking
Bernie,
the
they just
counting of
disagreed
electors from Pennsylvania
with
are showing
her
that their allegiance lies not to the
policies, with her
Constitution or to
matchup
their
against Trump. They
constituents.
didn't believe that
And
she
many
could
would
win,
argue
so
not
the
even
people,
to the Republican Party,
Democrats,
but to their own
voted
political
in the
base,
primaries for Biden to be the
outgoing
guy.
president.
Biden's the guy. That's
Pennsylvania's
it.
voters, not
So,
members of Congress, are
you're
tasked
saying
with
she voted
choosing
against the
Pennsylvania's
bill,
presidential electors.
and I'm assuming the
not
reasoning
Congressmen
that she
from
voted
other
against the bill is because it's a silly asinine
And
way
Pennsylvania certified our
to
We must
conduct
respect our
governing.
oath here
Would that be
by
accurate?
rejecting this
That
unfounded
giving out a bill
to Pennsylvania's
without having
electoral
time to
vote
read it
and not substitute
fully,
Congress's
and actually having a bill of that size in the first place. Would you? I think we probably agree on this. Do you agree that that's probably an asinine way to run
elections are
government?
serious matters, and that's why there is a place
Because if
to
you
consider
do,
those
I think we
challenges
agree,
in courtrooms
which is good.
before
We
impartial
found some
judges.
level of agreement.
And Pennsylvania's
But I would
legal
hope
process
that
has
you
worked.
understand
The
that the
pseudo-legal
COVID bill,
arguments that are
which
being
gave everybody
raised by the objectors here today
600,
are
which I
not
didn't get
new.
mine yet because of an IRS error,
Over
but
the past
whatever.
2 months, the president and his
That
allies have filed
was just
more
a
than
thing that they
twice the
attached
book
to that bill,
to
and then they
challenge
shoved it
Pennsylvania
through.
election.
Did you
Those
know,
challenges
and I
have
bet you
been
did, maybe you did, maybe you didn't, I don't know,
state
that this, most of what's in
appellate
this
courts,
bill,
and the United
the budget that goes to the other countries, all of those things, most of those things,
rejected by judges
I'm going to say
for
most, because
Democrats,
I'm not sure all of them. I'm sure
Republicans,
people squeeze
independents,
things in here and there.
and who've been
Most of
appointed
those
by
things were
Democratic and
approved by
Republican
Trump's
presidents.
budget a few months
Why
before,
did they lose
a
all
few
those
months earlier.
cases?
So people are all
Third
big
Circuit
mad
Judge Bevis,
about
a
this.
Trump-appointed
Even
judge,
though Trump okayed this, Trump in his,
Free,
I don't think it
fair
was actually
elections
Trump.
is
I
the
don't think Trump does
lifeblood
much
of
of
our
anything but
democracy.
golf and make
Charges
phone
of
calls.
unfairness are serious, but
This
calling
was
an election
indeed an
unfair
approved
does
budget.
not make
A
it
good
so.
majority of that bill was an
Charges
approved
require
budget that
specific
took Democrats and
allegations
Republicans
and then proof.
hours,
We
probably
have
months,
to
maybe. I have no idea what goes on behind the scenes. We don't know what happens in the room where it happens, right? Hamilton quote, boom. Of agreements, disagreements, negotiations. And they finally got something they agreed on. And the reason that they weren't going to go through with it is because Trump said what he said. Somebody, what happened over here? This guy
And
just
while there may
got
be no immediate
What?
consequences for misleading the public
So
with such statements,
most of that
there is
stuff
certainly a penalty for
is
misleading
Trump's
the courts.
budget.
A lawyer faces fines, jail, and loss
So,
of
I mean,
license.
cool. You're against foreign aid. You want to be kind of like
Lawyers for the Trump campaign
kind of like Brexit, right? Oh, well, we want to take care of ourselves. America first, right? We don't need to rely on China or any other countries to do what we need to do. Fine, if that's your mentality, that's okay. Trump disagrees. His budget says so. His budget the year before says so.
there are no consequences.
It's just
Because they
how
know that
government's
this
been ran
The majority
forever
of the House and
is
Senate will
globalization,
overrule.
and it's going to continually to be
But as
more
the
globalized.
entire world saw today,
That's just how
their
globalization works.
baseless claims of election fraud do have consequences. They undermine
That's the
faith
game. That's how it is.
respect for our
That's
elections
what we
and
do.
our
All right, let's see.
government. They chip away at the
It's a
foundation
disgrace
of our
to the
constitutional
people.
republic,
Clinton Foundation got
and they
millions,
take a
lol, and many
sledgehammer
more corrupt
to the
institutions.
peaceful transfer
Okay, so again, you're
of
just
power.
throwing out like platitudes
It is
of like,
our
yes,
job
corrupt,
to respect
politicians
the
are
rule of
corrupt,
law
politicians are
and
greedy.
reject
Yeah,
this
I'm not going to
political
disagree. I think
charade.
politicians are greedy. Just like I think
Finally,
celebrities are
I
vain,
want to offer my
sports
deepest
athletes
respect
are kind
to our
of
Republican
dicks,
colleagues in
mostly.
both the House
Like,
and the Senate, who
this
have
is
put
this is
forth
politics. This
intense
is
political
it's
pressure
never.
and today
I mean I
honor
don't
their oath of
I don't
the rule of
understand.
law
Like it's
by
this is
rejecting
how it
the
is. This is why
unfounded
people like
unprecedented.
AOC decided to
I
run.
hope that.
She decided to go into it and decided to try to make it better. She does not have the political power to do so at this moment in
Madam
time.
Speaker, I
right?
rise in favor of the objection.
I respect people like
Without
AOC,
objection, the
right? Getting off her ass.
recognized the
Stop playing
body.
video games,
I
stop
would, first
bartending,
like to
stop
say to my
working
colleagues
where I
on the
work,
other side
and
of the
actually
aisle
going in and trying to change
who
things.
said we should
I'm
be ashamed over
super
here.
tempted to actually do it.
I'm not ashamed, and neither are my colleagues over here. We're actually
And I
proud of
probably
what we've
won't
done in
run.
West
I'm too much of an asshole.
hope
They're
the
not going to
record will
vote for
show
me.
that.
But I would very, very,
Yesterday's
very heavily
cowardly
probably
attack
be
on
getting
our
involved in
American
politics
democracy
in the next 2 years.
was a
It is
horrible
very, very
act.
likely.
While Congress attempted to
Based like today is kind of
debate
like
and vote
yeah.
on the certificate
Yeah, I
of
think
the
it's
Electoral
time.
College,
I think it's time
violence
that
interrupted
different people stepped
an
in.
attempt to stop the
And you should get
democratic
involved too. If you truly believe that, you
Those
should
who
get
committed
involved.
these acts are
Learn the
domestic
steps.
and should
God
be
damn it, I'm kind of
prosecuted
mad
to the
because
fullest
this area
extent
was
of the law.
undiscovered. There's
And
nothing
I thank
here.
the Capitol Police and all of the law enforcement organizations that pushed back against
You do
this
realize
law.
when the first world
I
is
can't help but
ruined,
be
the
reminded
third
of the
world
bravery during the
dies.
baseball
That's
shooting
why they
on
only gave us
myself and my
600. I don't even know what you're
colleagues in
saying.
June of 2017. I thank
So
God
nothing
every
in
day
your
for
state
their
is shut down for COVID? No.
The American
No.
people
Name
deserve
things
full
that it, I
transparency
mean, what's,
in the
do you
electoral
mind telling me what
process
state you're in?
with confidence that any
Because I'm in Utah. No, I could go
in that
anywhere.
process will be
Honestly,
fully
there's
investigated.
like a hospital. Like I can't go to a
Texas
lobby of a
Secretary of
hospital
State,
now. But if I
I
wanted to
know
go
the
to dinner,
electoral
I
process
absolutely
well.
could.
And
There's
above
less
all, I know
places,
what the courts,
right? Like
the
Starbucks,
executive
for instance,
branch,
they've shut
and
down some of their
elected
stores
officials can and
to
cannot do
because if they have their
without
employees
approval
out,
by
they
the
can't
state
run a
legislature.
store efficiently, right?
During my tenure, I knew
Who's your
that my authority was
Republican?
confined to the powers
So
the
it's Utah.
legislature
Yes, it's
provided.
heavily Republican here. Yes,
states,
heavily
fail to
Republican.
abide by the Constitution,
It's
follow their
I
own
think
laws,
Romney,
it
Mike
calls
Lee.
into question
These are all
whether
Republicans
votes
that
in Texas
I've
or any
heard.
other state
Burgess
are
Owens is
fairly
our
represented.
House rep.
And now, as a duly elected member of Congress,
Burgess Owens is probably
the
somebody you
Constitution
would like.
outlines my rights to
I'm
speak
not a fan.
and voice my constituents' concerns with my vote.
Nice, found another one.
It
Good,
is
we found
pivotal
one. It wasn't
that we have
completely a
free
waste of
and fair
time
elections
coming here.
in our representative democracy, and more importantly, that
I'm
we
going
trust
to
in the
pop
results
in, hear what they're
of those
talking about for a minute.
In no
The
way
time is almost up, by the way. They're
voicing
almost going to
an
have to
objection
vote, and I
intent to
expect them to
overturn an election.
certify.
And when this process is complete and all objections have been heard, I acknowledge that we will have a peaceful transfer of power on January 20th. Faith in our system must be restored. and
I'll respond.
Americans
Give me a
must be
second, friend.
confident that their vote matters and only lawful votes will be counted. This is a sad day in our nation's history, but a
I've been here.
solemn reminder that our country will not falter and will not fail. In God we trust. I yield the remainder of my time to my colleague, Congressman Cawthorn.
Hello, everyone. As I said in my convention speech, I want a new generation of Americans to be radicals. To be radicals for
Whoa.
freedom
Oh,
and for
okay.
liberty,
Okay.
but not radicals for violence.
Hmm.
I am bitterly
Interesting.
disappointed by the protests that happened yesterday. The actions of a violent few were cowardly and pathetic, and I
Good.
am not afraid to call it out.
Good.
The Republican Party is a party of limited government.
Okay.
It is the big tent party. It's not the party of destruction.
Okay.
Madam Speaker, the oath I took just days ago demands that I speak out in defense not of one president or another.
So I'm going to pause this, actually. Let's see. Yeah, you have no idea what's going on in places like Michigan, California, New York. They have totally shut down everything small business. It could be due to you guys not having enough space, right? Like Utah is very wide space. Like I could walk outside and I could like go for a walk, right? New York is completely different. It's like a city. Now there's probably some things about California that you could bring up that I would probably agree with you, right? I'm a bit of a country boy. So like when I get to like, oh yeah, man, like that type of stuff, I go, relax, right? So I'm not that progressive, but I do understand their importance in society. So yes, I understand. I have no idea what's going on in those places. I get it. That's why I'm watching these things. That's why I'm talking to you right now. I want to hear your experience. I want to tell you what's happening here and what's working here. We have opened, I work in a school. We've opened up a school. I haven't been sick. Oh my God, my bird. Holy shit. Oh my God. I've never seen my bird do that before. We've opened up our school, right? I work in a charter school, and oh my God, I'm never gonna see anything. Bird? Damn. My bird is gone. And I haven't had issues. Personally, I haven't had issues. The people I work with, very few have had issues. The students I work with, many have been quarantined, but we've dealt with it. We created a system, and I personally think that system is screwed up, dumb, messed up. But complaining about it and getting big mad doesn't fix the problem. You have to fix the problem from the inside. That's how it works. Because I think I would agree with you, and you would probably agree with me in saying that this system is kind of a big machine. And to get into a big machine, you're going to have to kind of learn how to operate the machine. This is why I think people like AOC are kind of walking back their Medicare for all statements and not going with people who are aggressively trying to force votes on the House floor that are going to get nowhere, right? The reason they're not doing that is because they want a solidified party to actually have power, right? You're seeing a split Republican Party right now. And the actions that Trump is doing is going to cost the Republican Party. I don't think they're going to win. They're not going to realistically win in 2024. It's going to be really, really, really difficult to find a path of victory for them. Because I just don't, I don't know. Their whole party barely won in 2016. They were destroyed in 2020, and now they're splintered in half. And I mean, at best, 60-70, or 60-40. At best, 60-40, 60 centrists and 40% Trumpists. At best. I just don't see it happening. And then it's like, okay, well, let's go independent. Tulsi Gabbard, let's go independent. She's not going to get anywhere. Independents don't work. That's why Bernie Sanders went to the Democratic Party. It's just what they do. That's why Rand Paul went to the Republicans, right? They're still basically independents, but they're under that party. That's just how it goes. It's just how it is, right? They will favor one side or the other to curry favor to get the votes. That's how it goes. You just need to get the votes. All right, anyway, sorry, I went on a rant. My bad. If you're there, you couldn't go to dinner, but you could... oh, sorry. I must have missed something else. If you were there, you wouldn't be able to go to dinner, but you could pack yourself in a Costco Corp. I don't know what a Costco Corp is. Again, country boy, Utah. This man's a legend already. Left-wing media doesn't tell you the truth about the party. They lie and cover for them to keep people misinformed. Then bring on the truth bombs, sir. Bring it on. You tell me what I haven't already heard. Because I have yet to see any proof of any of these things. Alright? Any of these things. If you're going to bring me, like, QAnon stuff, then we're going to disagree. We're going to disagree. I mean, you're going to bring me people who are sensationalists, people who have no experience in politics at all, and they have no idea how anything happens. So, we're just going to disagree. And that's sad, but I understand. I get it. There's a lot of delusional people out there. Alright, I'm going to finish listening to this guy.
Defense of a hallowed document that has safeguarded this republic for over 200 years.
Trying to figure out where I want to go next.
The Constitution grants power solely to state legislatures to determine how elections are carried out. When other officials who are not vested with constitutional authority usurp their role and grind the Constitution under their heel, I must object. Our nation is a nation of resilience.
Where would these mysteries be?
In Valley Forge, George Washington prayed for a republic to be formed from the ashes of a monarchy. At Gettysburg, Americans gave their lives to defend a very simple idea, that the American democracy that had been earned with the blood of their forefathers would not perish due to internal divisions.
Oh,
Then
I
on
didn't
the
even go
islands of
north.
Iwo Jima and Okinawa, American
We're going
servicemen gave their lives to defend this nation's freedom from fascism. And what unites each and every generation of Americans is the idea that those who submit themselves to the authority of government ought to have a voice in that same government. We are Americans here in this chamber and in this country. But what does it really mean to be an American? It means believing in the rule of law. It means speaking up in defense
I don't care
of our
about
founding
platitudes.
principles and in defense of the
Did you hear Cuomo packed COVID patients in elderly homes? Yes, I did. That was absolutely an idiotic, dumb, silly, stupid, dumb, silly, stupid mistake. Absolutely, 100%.
While others sit. Now, obviously, I can't
I don't
stand,
know.
but trust me,
mean,
if I could
I don't know what to say.
stand, I would stand in defense of our Constitution.
If I grant you that,
Thank you
because
all.
you say you're a Trumpist, you say you love Daddy Trump. If that's the case, then do you agree that injecting bleach
From Pennsylvania seek
would be?
recognition?
I would.
I rise in
I mean,
opposition.
wouldn't you agree that that's stupid? Wouldn't you agree that that's kind of a fucking stupid thing to say? Sorry, I don't mean to curse. I don't know if you don't like cursing. I don't really care.
I completely agree
but
with my
I don't know if you do.
colleague,
So I'm gonna try to be
Representative Dwight Evans.
nice.
And I remind this
Isn't that
chamber
like stupid?
Pennsylvania
Wouldn't that be a dumb thing?
is the cradle of
Right.
American democracy. We can't claim to be the birthplace of American democracy. That would be a disservice to James Otis Jr.
See if this
who
guy's
in
done with his platitudes.
1761 stood up in a Massachusetts courtroom and argued against the king's writs of assistance. But Pennsylvania is the cradle of democracy. It is where we hosted the signing of the Declaration of Independence and the American Constitution. And it was Pennsylvanians who immediately went to battle to defend this idea of democracy. They went right after Bunker Hill to the siege of Boston. American riflemen were instrumental at the transformational battles of Trenton and Saratoga in victory. And
Where's
in
he going with
Independence
this?
Hall, where these documents got signed, the Declaration and the Constitution. And you heard my colleague,
Please, just
you
climb.
heard Representative Houlihan talking about the privations at Valley Forge, all in support of creating democracy. You heard Representative Boyle quoting John Adams about democracy only dies by suicide. You heard Representative Dean quoting John Lewis, our hero, who said democracy is not a state, it is an act. You heard Representative Wild talking about this.
Does he have this written
stunning
down? He
assault
does,
on
okay.
our
I was gonna say.
democracy. If it seems
My
like
goodness.
we get a little prickly in Pennsylvania about assaulting on democracy, you're right, we do. Pennsylvania is the cradle of democracy. And you heard how foolish and empty these challenges are. Representative Lamb said it. 31 cameras filming the place where the count was happening, resulting in thousands of hours of videotape. You can see it on YouTube, proving there was no fraud. You heard Representative Doyle and Brendan Boyle talking about Act 77, how the Republicans in Pennsylvania were falling all over themselves to pass this law for mail-in voting because they thought it would help them. And you heard Representative Scanlon explaining why there were no allegations of fraud made in court, because a lawyer going into court, lying to the court, gets his or her ticket to practice law.
Correct.
They
Yes.
can be disbarred. Politicians can say anything on cable TV.
Yep, not illegal
They
to lie
have
on
to be
TV,
darn
but it
careful
is to
when
lie
they're
in a
in
court. That's why
So
none
all
of
these
these
big TV
are getting
talkers
winning
never
court
alleged
cases.
fraud in court.
What is the
Let me
score
tell you
now?
about
Like
one
0 for
court
50
case.
or
It
something
was
like
a
that?
case where
It's
they
pretty
brought
pretty
on their
significant.
best legal talent. It was a case where they drew as a judge a staunch.
Okay, so he's just going against
conservative
all of the
Republican Judge Matthew
fraud.
Brand.
Like he's
He called
throwing out all the
this
points.
case
So like again, like you
strained
should be watching
legal
C-SPAN. You want
arguments
like, oh, well,
without
what about the
merit,
fraud? It's like, oh,
speculative
okay, cool.
accusations. He
It's
called
been
it like
debunked,
Frankenstein's
and he's going over it
monster,
again. How it's been debunked.
haphazardly stitched together
But like
case.
anything,
Judge
any
Brand
evidence
said
that I give you,
he,
you're just gonna
quote,
say
has
is
no
fake. Or
authority
whatever.
to
So it's
take away the right to vote of even a single
Can't help
person.
it.
Let
Let's see.
alone millions of
Did
citizens.
you hear
And on
lawsuits
appeal,
are filed?
Judge Bibas,
Lawsuits
a
are
Trump
filed.
appointee writing for the Third
Which
Circuit,
ones?
agreed. He said,
And where?
calling an
In
election
what court?
unfair does not make
I mean,
it
even the
so.
Supreme Court that
Charges
Trump's
require
own picks. I think he
specific
picked what 3
allegations
people,
and then proof.
and
We
he
have
already
neither
had
here.
like 2 people
But we have judges, dozens
in his
and
court. Like
dozens
the
of them.
Republicans have the
Federal
majority in the
judges,
Supreme
state
Court.
Judges, Democrats,
Like a pretty
Republicans,
big one
turning
too.
away these
And even
challenges.
they
All they ever
don't
wanted was
think
evidence.
that there's any
And
evidence
here's the
here.
#1 rule when you go to court.
So it's,
Don't forget to bring the evidence
I don't know,
with
it's,
you.
your YouTube video is
This
cool and all,
objection, in all
but
seriousness,
there's just,
reflects the most profound disrespect
it's like those
to
old
our
commercials
American
that where's the beef
judiciary.
lady is like,
We
where's the proof?
Pennsylvanians
You know, I
understand
just don't see it.
democracy. It was in Pennsylvania that our founders
Okay, how do I
signed the
get up there?
Constitution.
Is there gonna
and
be another
Article
goddamn
2
ladder on that
makes
tree?
it
We should go
plain as
check.
day. We elect our president. We don't have a king. If you can undo a presidential election simply by alleging that something was amiss, then we don't have a democracy at all. We have something else entirely. And if we vote to sustain this objection, we are not upholding our Constitution at all. We are doing something else entirely. Let's vote no on this objection. Yield back.
Perfect. 35 minutes. For
Th-
what purpose is the gentleman of Ohio?
35 minutes?
recognition?
Is that what she
Madam
said?
Speaker, I rise in support of the objection.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Every one of us swore an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United
How do I get
States
up here?
against all enemies of foreign and domestic. I swore that oath in uniform, and in the first part of it is the same that we swear here in Congress. The last time we needed to defend our Constitution against a domestic enemy, we fought a civil war. And then at the conclusion of that civil war, we passed the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments that make clear that no state is so sovereign that they can deprive their citizens of equal protection of the laws. When it comes to election, that means one person gets one vote. It doesn't mean that other citizens can dilute the votes of their citizens and deprive them of equal protection. And it doesn't mean that a state can do that by law or
I
by
didn't even
practice.
see that.
So whether the law was changed
That's
and
where
made
we're going,
it
boys.
such that there is no way to provide equal protection, one person, one vote, or the practice was corrupted, it cannot stand. And frankly, lastly,
Oh, I think I
it
lost
must
presidential
guarantee
like
that
poop
there is
stain.
a
That's too
proof
bad.
That it was equal protection under
Probably
the law.
just a troll.
None of that happened in a number of states. And the people of America,
He has yet to answer like
tens of millions
5
of
of my
them who
questions.
came out
Like I
to
asked him pretty
vote
simple
have been
questions. What state do you live
unheard
in?
by this body and by
Bummer.
far too many courts. We need to show them the respect
Bummer.
they're due by the Constitution of the United States of America.
I answered all
the
his
Constitution
questions.
that we fought to sustain, to end the era of Jim Crow, to pass civil rights legislation, the Voting Rights Act, the Civil Rights Act, and so many other pieces of jurisprudence. Thank you, and I'd like to yield the balance of my time to the gentleman, Mr. Johnson.
I thank the gentleman for yielding. Madam Speaker, I rise in support.
Control of the time. Have to stand there. As you yield, John.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in support of this objection and to give voice to the 249,386 men and women
Pelosi
of
actually
Ohio's
seems like a
6th
pretty nice
congressional
lady.
district who've had their voices silenced by the rogue political actors in
She's
Pennsylvania.
calm, cool, and collected
who
too.
unilaterally and unconstitutionally
It's crazy.
altered
All of the
voting
most
methods
of these politicians
to
are being like
benefit the
very, very
Democratic
like
candidate for president.
relax.
Secretaries
Wondering
of
if we're not
state
going to be able to get in
and
here.
state
No,
Supreme Courts cannot
doesn't
simply
make any sense.
ignore the rules governing elections set forth in the Constitution. They cannot choose to usurp their state legislatures to achieve a
Unhinged bliss. How's it
partisan
going?
end.
You must be here
Constitution
for
be damned.
wrestling. I'm not doing wrestling tonight. Sorry.
Madam Speaker,
I
this
think.
is a sad day for America. We've seen too
I
many
remember
sad
your
days
name.
like this recently. Assaults on courthouses, police stations, and now the U.S. Capitol. People who disagree with the results of police work and court decisions
how
are
do I get
wrong
in there?
to respond violently. And people who disagree with the
I don't
results
need
of
to
an
get in there.
election are
I need to
also
get in
wrong
there.
to respond with
My bad.
violence. Thank you to the Capitol Police and all of the law enforcement involved for protecting the people's house today. Madam Speaker, some may question our motives for raising these objections.
By the way, Unhinged Bliss,
But
I
other
think
than
you are
the
here
Bible,
for
the Constitution is the
non-political
most
reasons.
sacred
I'm doing some
document
politics
known
stuff
to man.
tonight. I'm also kind of doing my
Because it
stream
created
stuff.
the most
If you don't
free
care
and
about
prosperous
politics, will you
nation
at least
in
kind of help me
human
with my
history.
stream? Let me know if it lags for you at
2021
all.
has the
I'm
chance to
super
be
curious
remembered
if
for
it
when
is.
the leaders of a
Okay,
deeply divided
that'd be
America
awesome.
came
Like I
together
would like to get like
to
live
defend that sacred
feedback,
document and to
as well
ensure
as me
that
going
the
back and
integrity of
looking at
future
the
presidential
video later.
elections is ensured.
That'd be super helpful.
It is imperative we take this opportunity. The future of our republic depends on it. Benjamin Franklin, in the summer of 1787, during the heated debate to create our sacred Constitution, said these famous words: "I have lived long, sir, and the longer I live, the more convincing proofs I see of this truth, that God governs in the affairs of men. And if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire can rise without his aid? We have been assured, sir, in the sacred writings that except the Lord build it, they labor in vain that build it." Madam Speaker, I pray that we would turn to the God Almighty that ordained our nation into being to help us in our time of need.
This dude looks like the actor from Holes. Interesting. Okay. Who's next?
What purpose does the gentleman from Illinois seek recognition?
Madam Speaker, I rise in opposition.
I just popped in, which I usually don't. It's really rare for me to do that. Oh, okay. But you are from like the wrestling half of the community. Is that right?
Described to me the actions
I'm pretty sure. Like I'm pretty
we were in
sure.
a failed nation or a banana republic. Storming past police, some carrying the flag of the Confederacy, a mob breached this house. But there is good news: the democracy held today. For the last few years, misinformation and fear has been fed into people for profit and power, and for too many years, leaders around the country said nothing and sometimes echoed those messages because of the belief that winning, no matter the cost, was worth everything. Today we saw the result of ignoring these warning signs. People look to Washington to give hope. Instead, we simply amplify fears. People look to us for expertise on what we can't, on what can and can't be possible. Sometimes it's easier to say what makes people feel good instead of the hard facts.
True.
Today, some members of Congress argue that we can unilaterally pick the next president, that our glorious wisdom, armed with Twitter, we know better than the American people. Some have shown that if conspiracies are repeated enough, they become facts and they aren't disputed.
True. My
Even
goodness, this
here in
guy's
this
killing it.
chamber, after the events today, some speeches have been shockingly tone deaf. I've seen people applaud cheap political lines that are embarrassing. Power and cultural fights have divided us so much that they're the ultimate goal now, and sometimes the oath we swear to uphold feels like a prop. People have been lied to by too many for too long. So here's the truth: Joe Biden won this election. The effort will fail, and everybody knows it. For some out there, this isn't about making a statement for the betterment of our country. It's about avoiding the pain of leveling with the people and telling them the truth. The emperor has no clothes. I know many
still
are
don't know the meaning of
disappointed in
that.
the result.
I need to look
What
that up.
legacy are we leaving? Have our kids seen the day where Ronald Reagan and Tip O'Neill had a beer over their differences, or have they learned that to lead you must tweet, and sometimes all in caps, because now this is Hollywood. Fame is the ultimate goal.
True. My goodness, this
The
guy.
first step that we can do to restore this is to reject the charade, and what happens next is up to us. We get threatened with primaries, we worry about the political implications, but our names will long be forgotten. The legacy of now will exist. The bottom line, if we ask men and women to be willing to give their lives for this nation, and we talk about their service with tears in our eyes, shouldn't we be willing to give up our jobs to uphold that Constitution? And with that, I yield my remaining time to Representative Herrera Butler from Washington.
Yo, that guy, man. That guy's got a future if he keeps at it. He's a good speaker.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, is this a country, is this an America that we want to give to our children? a country of lawlessness, of might makes right, of mob rule. Previous generations of Americans have laid down their lives to answer no to that question. I do not want to be the first generation of Americans so selfish as to answer yes. Nothing is more important to me than preserving this constitutional republic as a representative. Article 2 of the Constitution states, each state shall appoint in such manner as the legislature thereof may direct a number of electors. Meaning that it's the duty of the state legislatures to select their electors in the manner they stipulate. It's right here. The founders of our republic did not want to federalize elections, which is why they reserved the selection of electors to the state legislatures. Historically, when Congress intervened in the electoral process, it was in the Civil War, it was when states were sending multiple slates of electors. But that is not the case today. Of the 6 states actively being contested, 5 have Republican legislatures. 5 are controlled by one party. 5 have the authority to get together and to vote to change the elector that they sent to us. How many of the 6 did? Not one. Pennsylvania did not get together and vote as a body and send us a new slate of electors. They did not send us a bill or a resolution citing injustice at the state level. None of them. Are they cowards? Do they not know the Constitution? Have they not read it like you and I? Or are they merely passing the buck? Here's the reality. Look, I believe this was not a fraud-free election. I believe that there were problems in Pennsylvania and in Georgia. But the Constitution gives us the right to fix that at the state level, not throw out the Electoral College. We do not want to absolve the responsibility of the people in those states to hold their own lawmakers accountable. I, as a Washington State congressman, don't know better than the people in Pennsylvania and Georgia. Folks, we can't vote to undermine the Electoral College today. We have to uphold it. With that, I yield.
Silver.
I must continue my search. I've had no luck.
For what purpose does the gentleman from Florida seek recognition?
I rise in support of the objection, Madam Speaker.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As you've heard from both sides of the aisle over and over and over tonight, members of Congress take an oath to protect and defend the Constitution.
It's going to be the one right in
Clearly,
front
the
of them.
Constitution says state legislatures make voting laws, period, end of subject. And clearly, in Pennsylvania and some other states, non-legislators change those voting laws. No matter who wins or who loses, those are violations of the Constitution, whether you, me, or anyone else likes it or not. As Congressman Davison pointed out, over a dozen FBI agents were immediately dispatched to fully investigate Bubba Wallace's garage door. But sadly, the FBI never responded to my request to investigate massive voting irregularity accusations, like the video.
Does the FBI do that?
Footage from Georgia that we all wish we didn't see.
Oh, of the suitcases?
Neither
Sir,
has
it's been
the Department
debunked.
of Homeland Security, the Department of State, the Postal Inspector General, the Director of National Intelligence.
It's been
the
debunked by the
CIA,
Georgia
and
elector,
last of all,
the head of elections.
the U.S. Department of Justice.
Because
The
they don't
right
need
to
to
vote
investigate.
is not only a constitutional right, it's also a civil right, and we must protect it.
As he is willingly trying to
Running
get
a
rid of
fair and
600,000
transparent
people's votes. That's
election
hilarious.
Is not something America should run away from. It's something we must live up to. Every eligible American has a right to have their vote counted, and the right to feel confident that his or her vote was counted, not neutralized by an illegal vote.
If that's truly what these people
Otherwise,
wanted,
I
they would
fear
not
our
be trying to
Republicans
get rid
do.
of votes. They're trying to get rid of
That's why
votes.
I implore you to support a full investigation, and I yield the balance of my time to the
There
fine
were
gentleman from
investigations.
Pennsylvania, Mr. Kelly.
I thank the gentleman. This has been an interesting day
And I know we want to debate this, and we brought up all kind of things, all kind of points of history and what happened and where it happened and all the rest of this. And we're very, very grateful to the Capitol Police and all those who came in to protect us.
This isn't going to be in this
but
area,
the real debate right now about Pennsylvania is Pennsylvania's Act 77. Was it constitutional or was it unconstitutional? All the rest of the trimmings should be set aside.
But we're going to
to
go with it
was
anyway.
it constitutional or unconstitutional? Act 77 changed Pennsylvania's voting law and Pennsylvania's constitution. Now, Pennsylvania could change that law, but it's done through an amendment to the Constitution. It's not just done because somebody would like to see that done. We had a mail ballot that was available. It's an absentee ballot. We did not have a no excuse ballot. What did Pennsylvania have to do to get to the point where they would have a no excuse mail-in ballot? Number one, in 2 successive sessions of the Pennsylvania legislature, that had to be passed in that legislation, one session after the other. If it passed both times, then it had to be published in every one of the 67 counties of Pennsylvania twice. When that was finished, it then had to go before the Pennsylvania voters to decide whether they wanted the Constitution amended. Pennsylvania did the first one. They actually did take a vote, and it was overwhelming. But then they scrapped it, and they put it in an omnibus bill. That is an unconstitutional change. You cannot do it. It's that simple. So I love the idea about Washington crossing the Delaware. I love the idea about Washington and going through a terrible winter. I hate the idea of what we had to go through today. But if oaths don't matter, and we've all taken them, and if the Constitution doesn't matter, why do we even do it? Why go through this charade that somehow we are really close friends, except when it comes to the really important things? We have driven this country apart through the people's house. And we wonder what
He's not
happens.
wrong.
The biggest loss on November 3rd was not by Donald Trump. It was the faith and trust that the American people lost in this voting system because we have allowed it to happen. It's unconstitutional.
So, I mean, he was just big mad, but again, these things were
I rise in
investigated.
opposition.
Where's this mask?
The gentleman is recognized for 5 minutes.
I swear, if this mask is right here and I just can't grab it.
80 years ago
it's
today,
like-
Franklin Roosevelt delivered his 3rd inaugural address. Every realist knows, he said, that the democratic way of life at this moment is being assailed in every part of the world, assailed either by arms or by the secret spreading of poisonous propaganda by those who would seek to destroy unity and promote discord in nations that are still at peace. Today, the principal threat to our democracy comes from a different but also poisonous propaganda of those who seek to destroy our unity and promote discord. According to this propaganda, America cannot conduct a free or fair election. Our elections are rigged and doomed. According to this propaganda, the voters can no longer decide who shall be president. The Congress must decide for them. At a time when our nation faces
which
an
is
unprecedented
really
health
silly.
crisis
Again,
with thousands
this guy's
dying
absolutely right. So the big thing is we don't want government rigging it. It's like, okay, but why then are you saying that this election was rigged and then wanting Congress to make the decision? Congress is not the people. All of those people would agree with me when I say that. So I just don't understand. It's just such a weird hypocrisy there. It's so strange.
every day, with Americans struggling to put food on the table and keep a roof over their head. Who are we to say that the man America chose to lead us out of this calamity shall not take office? The coronavirus will claim more American lives than all of the casualties in World War II. To meet that moment will require unity, not discord. will require an abiding faith in our country, in our democracy, in our government's ability to function and provide for the needs of its citizens. The members of this body cannot continue to challenge the merits of an election that was fairly conducted and overwhelmingly won by Joe Biden. It must stop. Look at the damage that was wrought in this House today, to this country today. Is that not enough?
That down there.
Roosevelt said this nation has placed its destiny in the hands and heads and hearts of millions of free men and women. Our strength, he concluded, is our unity of purpose. Let us unite once again in defense of the greatest hope of freedom-loving people around the world, this precious democracy. I yield to Jamie Raskin.
Madam Speaker, the baseless attack on Pennsylvania and its electors brought to mind for me the great Tom Paine, the champion of popular democracy, who came over
I'm so
to
happy
America
I'm
to
yawning.
fight with
I have
us
such an early day
in
tomorrow.
the revolution against the king. And he lived in Philadelphia, where he wrote, "Common sense."
I can
and
only
the
hope
age
that
of
when they're
reason."
done deliberating
And Paine
this,
said, "In the
they
monarchies,
just certify the
king
fucking results.
is the law, but in the democracies, the law will be king." When you think about it, the peaceful transfer of power is the central condition of maintaining democracy under the rule of law. That's why the famous election of 1801 was such a big deal. When John Adams
Goddamn.
relinquished the presidency to his
I'm done
Catholic
deliberating this.
adversary and
I'm done.
lifelong friend, Thomas Jefferson, it was the first peaceful transition of power between democracies in a democratic republic in the history of the world. And he said, as he rode back to Massachusetts from Washington, Adams said that he did this because we are a government of laws and not of men. We will betray this principle if we trade a government of laws for a government of men, or even worse, a single man, or an impressionable and dangerous mob intent on violent sedition and insurrection against our beloved democratic republic.
Did he
Here's
say that?
Abraham Lincoln, right before the war. At what point then is the approach of danger to be expected? I answer, if it ever reaches us, it must spring up amongst us. It cannot come from abroad. If destruction be our lot, we must ourselves be its author and its finisher. Madam Speaker, my family suffered an unspeakable trauma on New Year's Eve a week ago, but mine was not the only family to suffer such terrible pain.
This is
in
the guy
2020.
whose
Hundreds
son
of
had died.
thousands of families in America are still mourning their family members. Many families represented in the Congress are still mourning their family members who've been taken away from us by COVID-19, by the opioid crisis, by cancer, by gun violence, by the rising fatalities associated with the crisis in mental and emotional health. Enough, my beloved colleagues. It is time for America to heal. It is time for our families and communities to come together. Let us stop pouring salt in the wounds of America for no reason at all. Let us start healing our beloved land and our wonderful people. I yield back. Thank you.
Sad, man. Guy's still doing his job. Lost his kid a week ago.
All time for debate has expired.
Thank Christ.
The question shall the objection submitted by the gentleman from Pennsylvania, Mr. Perry, and the senator from Missouri, Mr. Hawley, be agreed to. Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. The noes have it. What gentleman is recognized?
Oh. No, don't record a vote. That's another
The yeas
fucking
and nays are requested
25
pursuant to
minutes.
Section 3S of House Resolution 8. The yeas and nays are ordered. Members will record their vote by electronic device and are reminded to vote when their group is called and to leave the chamber after they have voted.
Nice. She didn't say that last time. It got real busy, real packed. Okay, so they're gonna do a 15-minute countdown, but it's gonna take a little bit longer than 15 minutes. What was the tally last time? It was like 300 to 100, something like that. I feel like it's pretty significant. I don't think a single Democrat voted yay. I don't think not a one. And I just don't know. So this is gonna be a thing. Let's see, what food am I gonna eat? Oh, I know what I'm gonna eat. I'm gonna eat some chips. Okay. So I don't need to go get food. After this vote is done, we're gonna watch the Senate convene. Hopefully that's hopefully that's done by 2. Because I need to go to bed. If I go to bed at 2, oh, we're gonna get to fight somebody here. If I go to bed at 2 and I get to wake up at 8, that's 6 hours of sleep. She gonna say home again? She is, isn't she? No, she's not. Interesting. Well,
This is a Drenger's ritual chamber. I am Skehold, pledged to Ragnar Lothbrok in Huga and body, iron and soul. I seek one willing to take the ritual and engage me.
I understand.
Join me then in Drenga Seder. Ragnar taught it to me in Uppsala for 9 moons, and I will only fight one who enters my frenzy. For if we are not in the same state, I will have an
What is the potion then?
a sacred ale of high volatile spirits, and Ragnar and I would quaff this great elixir before each new raid. I often saw him transcend the laws of battle, drink of the brew that bubbles here in my pot. Then
how about you drink first? Like I feel like this is poison. Is this not poison? This might be poison. Oh, I don't really want to drink. Well, what pot? What? Oh, this one. Not the kind of pot I was looking for. Anyway, oh god, please don't catch on fire. I like how she just sits here and waits to die. Oh, look at her. Is she taking away my stuff? Dude, she's done. Bye-bye.
You fought well, and our journey was fair.
Bye-bye.
Now yours continues.
Here's the vote so far. About 290 have not voted, but it's 58-84. Nays have it. Pretty sure most Republicans voted first, so it's gonna get interesting. But this one's Pennsylvania. This is a little bit different than the Arizona one. So there it is. It's mystery completed. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, I do need to pee though. And I think this is like a perfect time to go pee. So I'm not going to leave you completely hanging.
What do you see, Sunan?
I guess we just go up, yeah? I guess we'll just go up, but I'm going to here. I'm gonna show you my cool looking Ivar, and I'll be right back. We have about 10 minutes left of voting, but it's gonna take longer than that. It's gonna take them about 20. We'll come back. We'll listen to some. We'll listen to some reactions to the crazy shit that happened today, I suppose. And we'll see if this video even makes the air. I'm super curious to see if it's as laggy. It doesn't look as laggy on my preview, but I'm super curious if it actually is. So, this is good. I mean, we had a great debate with unelected President-elect Poopstain brilliant name. I'm sure, just a peachy guy, you know. Didn't answer a single one of my questions. All he had to bring to the table was a bunch of conspiracy theorist nonsense. And debunked claims that were already debunked. So again, as typical, these are people who are very, very successful at sharing Facebook memes. But when you actually get down to talking to them, they have nothing to provide. Absolutely nothing to provide. I wish he would have stuck around. Actually, you know what? Honestly, President, like, poop stain, troll, maybe. I have no idea. He didn't seem very trolly. He actually believed, seemingly. It's too bad. I actually was enjoying my conversation. I've always wanted to talk to a lunatic besides myself. Alright, 165 nays have it. 266 people left to vote. Alright, BRB. So, I'm the only person here anyway, I'm pretty sure, and you're here watching my gameplay. You can feel free to mute, or you can enjoy the ASMR that you're about to experience, or the mukbang, I guess, or whatever. Ooh, this one's getting a little bit more votes, which I expected it might, because Pennsylvania, probably in my opinion, of all of their crazy claims, has the most. I shouldn't even say that. Has the least amount of like non-evidence, I guess. I don't know. It's interesting. So I'm curious to see how this vote shakes out. God, if I could, if there was like a way, if I was rich, I'd just stream every day and listen to this. It'd be so interesting. I love it. I absolutely love it. Again, I'm heavily considering getting involved in this. It just sounds like too much fun. Sherwood Forest, huh? Ooh, do you think they're gonna have Robin Hood in here? Okay, but again, we are just looking for random shit, for random things, and YouTube people, because I don't think there's any people here live right now. YouTube people, feel free to either mute or skip ahead when you see me stop chewing, and when I look over here, when I start watching again, when I stop playing the game, that's likely when something's happening. All right, I would assume it's going to be in another. See, they've done about over half now. I'm assuming it's going to be done in about 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so there you go. Again, I'm chewing. There ain't nobody here but me. Am I disrespect myself? Annoy myself? I don't think so. Okay.
Fast about this lap, my friend.
Dude, Sherwood Forest is like fucking so tiny and small. This is Sherwood Forest. I know it's not like to scale, but really? Really? Oh, but I will be listening to, for at least the next 10 minutes, some videos that I usually listen to when I'm grinding these games, so I'm usually not streaming, so let me pull that up. I have loads of YouTube videos up, so I don't know if I need the Senate. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, I don't think I need the Senate, so we're going to drop out the Senate one. Maybe that'll help clear shit up. And I'm going to lower this one so that I can still see the votes happening over there. Wunderbar. Perfect. 190 to 101, 140 votes left. I'm listening to Vosh.
Can you imagine if we had a proper revolution, somebody just propped up their feet in Pelosi's desk, you know? Just lean it back, smoke a blunt, you know, just, we took a baby. Yeah, that would be based. This is less based, though. This guy's problem with Pelosi is that
Damn it, man.
She's too far left. That's not based. That's unbased. Oh, yeah, here we go.
So we're just looking for random
If Donald
shit,
Trump were to lose, and he won't, his supporters will go to work tomorrow just as we do every day. When Biden loses, his supporters will likely loot and riot. Tells you everything you need to know.
I got into a conversation today as well with my family member that said if the left would have lost, they would have behaved the same way. It's like, no, I don't think so.
You almost 40K views, tell people subscribe. Stop! Okay, if you're enjoying the content, please subscribe. I love you all very much. This is a dark day in the history of
Go
our
subscribe
country,
to
and we're
Vosh.
going
Go
to
subscribe to
pull together
Destiny.
once
Go
more,
subscribe
okay?
to your
Subscribe
Steven
the goddamn
Crowders.
channel, all right?
Subscribe as much as
Holy
possible
shit.
to as many different people.
Clear
Ben Shapiro, if you want.
80,000 tabs right now.
I wouldn't pay any of these
Jesus
people
Christ.
money. They're getting
Everyone
paid pretty well.
Stick together, okay? In all seriousness,
Pac-Man.
this is a very difficult period for our country, and
Go get
We're going to
knowledgeable.
need to do a lot to undo the damage these people have done. The cops are taking photos of the fucking terrorists? Yeah, I've seen it. DC National Guard activating. Oh, shit. What a stupid term for it. What are you... Activating? Okay. Breaking. No, give me the thing I was looking at. Hey.
There's
Breaking. The U.S. Army activating the National Guard. 1100.
Can we not, Wolf, please?
Is that Fuentes? The answer is probably yes. Fuentes has been a hardcore, like, GOP Bernier busting right now. Trumper busting. He's been tweeting, like, gloating about the downfall of the GOP. It's really, really funny, by the way. They're just as bad for their movement as Bernier busters are for ours. Arguably more so. Dude, I love left v right aesthetics. Look at this. When left-leaning people want better, like, working rights or some shit, we bring guillotines. When right-leaning people bring their, instrument of death, they bring fucking gallows. You know why? Because the guillotine's historical roots are trended in the attempted egalitarianism of the French Revolution, and they go right back to the Southern lynchings. Is this real? Yep. Right on back. That's what they think of. When they're like, what do we do to strike fear in the heart of the people we don't like? They think of black people hanging from trees. That's what their mind goes to. All of them. Trump, McConnell, even Romney. I'm calling them out. Romney too. They're scaling the Capitol walls. They also brought a guillotine, I'm pretty sure.
So this is
yeah, I'm just
earlier,
saying left-leaning people
obviously.
would literally never, ever, ever, ever bring a fucking gallows.
I would never say
Oh,
never,
God.
but because you never know,
It's
right?
not their
But
style, you know?
right
yeah, I saw
now-
this. They put a cross up as well. I remember this.
Votes 225 to 119, 87 people left. And this was probably their strongest state. This is probably why they decided to dispute it. It's because it's the one that has the most merit. The only other one that was disputed, I believe, was Arizona. And that was before all the shit happened.
Pay
So,
very close attention to all
why can I
the
find it?
freedom loving, law respecting,
Oh, is he tweeting? Can I break that? Please say I can break that. Oh, I don't think I can. Can I go in there? No. He's tweeting. Fuck. I can break this one though.
I'm such a bad typist. Holy shit. I'm so bad at it.
It's really strange. Okay, I'm assuming I go there, to climb here, to go in, to go down.
Biden speaking? Oh shit! You look away for 1 second. Whoa!
I don't really. I've heard Biden's speech. It's generic. It's same old, same old. Same old, same old. Good old American, just calm, boring speech.
Wait, where's the fucking Biden link? Wait, what
Thank
the
God
fuck? I
is-
saw somebody in chat post it, but you're moving so quickly. Oh
Thank God
god.
it's good. I don't know where to go next. I mean, if we're up here in this in Nottinghamshire, then I assume we should
Bomb
go
in
here.
Dems HQ. Democratic Party HQ in Washington, D.C. evacuated due to suspicious package. Jesus Christ, that was 1 minute ago.
Hmm. Dem.
President-elect Joe Biden delivers remarks after receiving economy briefing. What? Is Biden going to talk about something that isn't what's going on right now?
It's fun. He's way behind in the news. Well, I mean, this is a video. This isn't his actual live stream right now.
How much worse is it going to be on Inauguration Day? If this gets handled well today, then that's going to be not the end of it, but that's going to be like the end of severe action, I think. If the cops, if this gets cracked down on appropriately today.
Oh, I can't even see my chat. Fuck.
Dylan Burns is
I don't think anyone's there anyway.
You
Okay.
fucking moron.
You're gonna have to wait. If anyone's there, I doubt it. But...
Republicans are denying a senator from being sworn in. Yeah, I'm aware of this. We haven't even had time to talk about this. It's not going to make a difference. They're still going to get in.
Oh, there's my end.
Dylan! Dylan!
At the moment, I've seen some QAnon flags, Confederate flags. I think I saw the AF, America First thing, which I think might be associated with the contest. I think someone told me it was, but I'm not sure for sure. There's Trump flags currently outside the Capitol, and I'm wearing, of course, my lovely Biden Harris merch. And you know, I'm sure that'll go over well with the vast majority of people here because, you know, they believe in democracy. I believe in democracy. I believe in polite dialogue. So I'm sure I'll be fine.
Good luck.
And we both also, you know, we can unite through our united faith, you know. So I'm sure it'll go good. Everything's good at the moment. But well, staying 6 feet apart too.
God damn. Good luck.
Good luck.
Buddy. Yeah, exactly. Jesus.
Wait, what is this Dave Rubin tweet? One man's burned down target is another man's stormed Capitol? What the fuck does
really
that
kill
mean?
that guy?
Is he
Nice.
equivocating? Dave Rubin brain.
Oh shit. Big guy. Bye-bye.
Yeah, both sides. Remember when they burned down some Target in some fucking poor-ass neighborhood and nobody got hurt?
Yeah.
That's exactly like this. Gamers rose up? No way. Is it happening?
Ouch.
What? Wait, is this... What game is this? This is, Wait, is it that steampunk game? What is it?
Cyberpunk.
What's this game? Dishonored. Yeah.
Oh.
Dishonored was pretty good. I never played the sequel. Maybe I should. Dishonored 1 was pretty okay. Just felt a little bit jilted. I don't know. They were let in?
No, wait, what?
Police are squabbling with protesters.
50 votes left. It's 250 to 130. Uh-oh.
And they just reached the Capitol again.
Cool.
Police are squabbling with protesters. Oh, there we go. And they just reached the Capitol again.
So the only defense of this that I can think of is that by creating a point of entry, it becomes easier to control the crowd. That's the only thing that I can think of. If you allow people to enter through one place, you have more control over the way they progress forward, as opposed to allowing them to just storm it, like, generally speaking. But I don't know if that's enough of a justification here. Okay, I'm not seeing any, like, where's Biden speaking?
Fucking spicy Doritos.
Unlike anything we've seen in modern
Joe! Here, we'll
I've
go
seen
back
this.
to the beginning. 50.
Sorry.
Here, okay, 40 seconds behind.
Not just an inconvenience, but I'm sorry for the reason you delayed coming out to speak to you. I initially was going to talk about the economy. But all of you,
I didn't see the beginning
all
of it
you
though.
have been watching what I've been watching. At this hour, our democracy is under unprecedented assault. Unlike anything we've seen in modern times. An assault on the citadel of liberty, the Capitol itself.
The Citadel of Liberty.
An assault on the people's representatives, and the Capitol Hill Police.
I work.
Sworn to protect them. And the public servants who work at the heart of our republic. An assault on the rule of law like few times we've ever seen it. An assault on the most sacred of American undertakings, doing of the people's business. Let me be very clear. The scenes of chaos at the Capitol do not reflect a true America, do not represent who we are. What we're seeing are a
who we
small
shouldn't
number of
be.
extremists
Hold on.
dedicated to lawlessness. This is not dissent. It's
mind me.
disorder. It's chaos. It borders on sedition. And it must end now. I call on this mob to pull back and allow the work of democracy to go forward. You've heard me say before in different contexts, the words of a president matter. No matter how good or bad that president is. At their best, the words of a president can inspire. At their worst, they can incite. Therefore,
Listening to this is going to make me angry.
I call on President Trump to go on national television now to fulfill his oath and defend the Constitution and demand an end to this siege. To storm the Capitol, to smash windows, to occupy offices, the floor of the United States Senate, rummaging through desks, on the Capitol, on the House of Representatives, threatening the safety of duly elected officials. It's not protest, it's insurrection. The world's watching. Like so many other
Funny, I've never even had to use that word before in my life, besides for wrestling purposes, because they had a pay-per-view of insurrection.
So long, the beacon of light and hope for democracy.
And today that word came into my
It's come to
head
such a
immediately. I was like,
dark
holy shit,
I'm
is
gonna
this
kill
insurrection?
myself.
And it was. It was
Through
an
war
attempted
and
one.
strife, America's endured much. And we will endure here, and we will prevail again, and will prevail now. The work of the
Hideout.
moment,
Do I wanna go to a hideout?
the work of the
Probably
next
not.
4 years must be the restoration of democracy, of decency, honor.
About 24
respect,
votes left to count in the House.
rule of
It is
law.
272 to
Just plain,
136.
simple decency. The renewal of the politics.
I think we're just gonna go get
It's about
this.
solving problems, looking out for one another, not stoking the flames of hate and chaos.
Meanwhile, in the Capitol
As
building.
I said, America's about honor, decency, respect.
Meanwhile, in the
Tolerance.
Capitol building.
That's who we are. That's who we've always been. The certification of the Electoral College vote is supposed to be a sacred ritual.
God,
To affirm, purpose is to affirm the majesty of American democracy.
Uh-oh.
Oh,
Today's
is that an old
reminder.
picture? Wait, okay, that was an old picture.
Painful
Sorry,
one.
somebody just linked it to me. I'm sorry, that was an old picture.
Democracy is fragile.
But we have seen Confederate and
Deserve
Nazi
it.
flags at those protests, so I feel like the spirit.
Requires people of goodwill.
The
There were
spirit
Confederate
of
flag there. I saw
the
that
courage
today.
to stand up, who are devoted not to the pursuit of power
Fake news!
or the personal interest,
Uh-oh.
just pursuits of their own selfish interest at any cost, but of the common good. Think what our children watching television is thinking.
I heard this
Think
part.
what the rest of the world is looking at.
But he doesn't actually
For
talk
nearly
very long. He's
2.5
almost done.
centuries, we, the people,
I can't keep
in
listening
search
to
of
this. I'm
a
going to
more
lose my fucking
perfect
mind.
union, have kept our eyes on that common good. America is so much better than what we've seen today.
I'll let him talk, but then I'm going to lose my shit.
Watching the scenes from the Capitol, I was reminded as I prepared other speeches in the past, I was
What's in
reminded of the words of Abraham Lincoln in his annual message to Congress, whose work has today been interrupted by chaos.
If you enjoy
Here's what
watching me
Lincoln said.
anxiously bounce my left leg, then subscribe
He
to the
said,
channel.
we
Don't
shall
fuck.
nobly save or merely lose
Bet it's that
the
one over there.
last best hope on earth. Went on to say, the way is plain,
Feels right.
peaceful, generous, just. A way which, if followed, the world
Feels
will
like that right
forever
there.
applaud,
That rock.
and God must forever bless.
Nope.
The way is plain here,
Oh.
too. That's who we are.
No, because we have to, like...
It's the way of democracy, of respect, of decency, of
Okay, here's my problem with like liberals. Okay, this is why lefties say this is why lefties say
We're close.
that ultimately like liberals are complicit to fascism, or like a liberal, you scratch a liberal, a fascist bleeds. Okay, there are a number of meanings to that statement. Some of them can rely, like for example, there are like liberals in this country who will sort of
we're too far away.
implicitly defend fascism if it's abroad, or they'll protect capital interests if it means that they have to use fascistic force to do so. There are a lot of iterations of this particular like way of thinking, but this right here is the worst of them, okay? And this is because liberals are constitutionally incapable of meaningfully doing anything about fascism. Nick Fuentes was arrested. Well, excellent.
Why can't I break these? It's so
Liberals
strange.
they can't do it. The same thing happened to the Weimar Republic, okay? Listen, folks, you guys need to read in the history of the Weimar Republic, okay? There was so much interesting shit going on over there. But you know what? There's one recurring pattern that you can find. If you keep looking, you look over and over and over. How did it happen? How could such a liberal democracy as the Weimar Republic end up falling to Hitler? Well, of course, you have Hindenburg in the appointment, but do you know the entire process? Do you know what happened? All the liberals, all the well-meaning progressives, all the liberals in that country, they pointed and they laughed at Hitler. They pointed and they laughed. They would publicize his arguments and destroy them. They would vivisect the illogic of fascism. They would make ruthless
Oh, I
jokes.
can't figure this
They
one
would-
out.
By any method,
I think it might
the
have to be something with me
fascists
shooting
of Germany
ice,
were made
'cause I don't know why there would be
by
ice
the
that's
media. They were
breakable.
made absolute fools by other politicians, by their pundits, by their newspapers, by their comedians. Every single institution in the
14
Weimar
votes left.
Republic worked together to
I feel like I was
parody
closest
and
here.
to delegitimize the Nazis. And then you know what happened? They all got taken to the gas chambers because it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Fascists are deliberately irrational. Pointing out the irrationality of their beliefs, well, that's what I do. And sometimes you can move over individuals that way, but it doesn't stop a movement at all. Pointing out that their leaders are silly, they don't give a fuck. Pointing out that that they're ridiculous and that all
damn it,
fascism is
man.
rooted in male sexual insecurity. That like deeply insecure like white boys are like running around in circles trying to find some
right
way
here.
to emulate the masculinity they
No.
think they're entitled to. It doesn't work.
There.
At the end of the day, and Hitler agreed with this, the only thing that stops fascists is overwhelming force. That is the only thing that actually does it. Ossoff's victory just called. Ossoff's victory was called 14 hours ago when I released that YouTube video. Step the fuck down. Turn on CNN? Okay.
Yeah, Ossoff winning was it was gonna happen.
Okay, but what does overwhelming force mean, Vosh? I mean that Biden should have gone up there and said that the nanosecond that he is inaugurated as the
we might be over
president,
here.
he would do everything within his power to bring every conceivable criminal charge to every seditious piece of shit Republican who worked to make this terrorist attack on our government happen. That every single protester, that their names and faces have been found on cameras, that they would be pursued to the furthest extent of the law, that they would be prosecuted on federal charges, and that their lives would be obliterated, and that they should all fear the consequences.
Still 14
the next
votes
time
left.
They attempt a
We're looking
fucking
for
fascist insurrection.
4
That is the
people.
only way you can meaningfully deal with this, and the
damn
only
it.
good invocation of law and order as a principle. But we're not going to get that. We're going to do the same shit that happened after fucking Nixon. We're going to get the same shit that happened after the Iran-Contra scandal. We're going to try to move on and heal. You can't heal from
It's really
fascism
close.
unless you deal with it. You have to deal with the fascism in order to heal with it. You can't. The wound can't close until you pull the knife out. We tried this after Nixon. What do we get? A couple years of faux peace. We tried this after Reagan. What do we get? A couple years of faux peace. But the underlying logic, the underlying problem stays there until you deal with it. We never finished Reconstruction. Lincoln died. We never finished the process of breaking the South until they were suitable, until they were worthy of rejoining the Union. We never finished that process. Instead, a bunch of former slave owners and people complicit in the fucking Confederate government ended up continuing to occupy places of power. Their cultural institutions were allowed to be preserved. The Confederate flag was something that they continued to allow to exist. Why did we continue to allow the Confederate flag to exist at all?
Can't go that way.
They're literally a fucking insurrectionist, like a traitor nation that broke off and invaded us. Why do we continue to allow them to exist? Why do we continue to allow them to erect
Still 14
symbols
votes?
of hate?
Where are these 14 people?
Their Confederate leadership. Why?
Deliver them unto me.
Because liberals don't like to deal with the real work that needs to be done to rid a society of fascism. Though the Confederacy wasn't fascist, but authoritarianism. Okay, what is this link? Trump!
You heard we had an election that was stolen from us. It was a landslide election, and everyone knows it, especially the other side. But you have to go home now. We have to have peace. We have to have law and order. We have to respect our great people in law and order. We don't want anybody hurt. It's a very tough period of time. There's never been a time like this where such a thing happened, where they could take it away from all of us, from me, from you, from our country. This was a fraudulent election, but we can't play into the
Like, how many times have I been around these things, you know?
We have to have peace. So go home. We love you. You're very special. You've seen what happened.
That was the cringiest fucking thing I've heard all day.
So bad and so evil. I know how you feel. But go home and go home in peace.
Wow. Man, he actually managed to make everybody angry there.
Yeah.
He doesn't come out and support the protesters, so they're going to be angry. He comes off vaguely condescending and patronizing to them, but he also spends half the time
13,
whining about the stolen election. Nobody's going to be happy about this. This is incredible. Oh.
Is this the...
Oh, I love it.
I'm getting so...
Oh, I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. You're all so special. You're all so special. You're such good little boys and girls, such good little Trumpies, little Trumpers. I'm so sorry. The election was stolen. Never before has anything this fucked up happened in all the American
Like,
elections.
I have the sound on this, right?
But you have to go home.
Yeah. God damn it. Where?
I got... Okay.
No one's here to help me.
Gotta chill out. Oh, God.
YouTube, please. Please help me. I've tried like every possible.
Ah, nice. Here's the here's our very not racist.
Oh, I saw this video.
Trump supporters reenacting George Floyd's death under the BLM memorial. Very not racist. Just trying to fight that stolen election, baby. That's what they're trying to do. Just trying to bring peace and order and law and fucking whatever to America.
Boy, I'm trying. Is it this one?
Corey in the House. What's up? I believe the Republican members of Congress who have incited this domestic terror attack through their attempts to overturn the election must face consequences. They have broken their sacred oath of office. Is that a real thing? I will be introducing a resolution calling for their expulsion. Yeah! Get them out! Get them out! Get them out of here! Get them out! Get them out!
It's a lot of people to replace.
Directing the Committee on House Administration and the Committee on Ethics to investigate and issue a report on whether those members of the House who have sought to overturn the 2020 presidential election have violated their oath of office.
Can I activate this here?
The House of Representatives. Good. I want to be clear about this. In any sane, functioning, free democracy, most members of the elected GOP would currently be in jail. That's not an authoritarian take. That's an anti-authoritarian take. Democracies can't survive the existence of these people, okay? Having the citizenry be allowed to engage in their conspiracy is bad enough, but when you have members of high government who are completely and 100% abetting it with their behavior and with the lies they tell, no. Any sane democracy, any functional democracy should have these people locked behind bars. All of them.
I'm not gonna figure this one out, am I?
And again,
I'm
that's
getting
a
more and more
pro-freedom
frustrated.
Pro-freedom. I'm very pro-freedom. Democracies can't survive the sort of free reign
Well, I'm still
of
gonna stay awake,
anti-democratic
but
forces. What are you gonna do there, right? Like, if you believe in a
kind of
democratic
annoyed,
society,
actually.
and you have a bunch of
11.
billionaire media moguls controlling the narrative, so that people are supporting an anti-democratic government.
At best, it's a 2-to-1
Is it
split
not the
in the
right
house.
for democracy lovers to defend themselves?
Hey, nice.
Why aren't you an ML? What I just said has nothing to do with being an ML. Destiny is calling for all the rioters to be shot, JK. Wait.
JK. Well, okay. Alright, I'm moving over. I'm actually going to probably just quit out of Assassin's Creed. Like, I'm already kind of annoyed. So.
On this vote, the ayes are 138, the nays are 232, 282. The noes have it. The noes have it. The objection is not agreed to, and with that objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. The clerk will now notify the Senate of the action of the House, informing that body that the House is now ready to proceed in joint session with the further counting of the electoral vote for the President and the Vice President.
Now, last time this happened, I forget what time it was. I think it was about 9 o'clock, maybe? 8, 9 o'clock, something like that. Their time, it must have been like 10:30. Something like that. No, their time, it would have been like 11:30, actually. Because here we are at 1:15. No. God damn it. Now I'm also out of those sorts. No, it makes sense. Probably about 10:30 their time. They spent about an hour certifying. They got all the way to Pennsylvania. And here we are again. 80 frame skippages. But I'm wondering how bad those actually are. So, we'll see. And then I'm going to look at my settings and see what's going on. It sounds like they're going to send the clerk to the Senate to see.
Maryland, seek recognition.
I ask unanimous consent to speak out of order for 1 minute.
Without objection, the gentleman is recognized.
And I would ask the House to be in order. Madam Speaker, this would not be the time I would have chosen, but it may be the last time that we're in session before the new administration comes in. We are losing an extraordinary young woman who has been with me for over a decade, and who is our floor leader, our floor director. All of you know her. Her name is Shwanza Goff. And she has been with me for a significant period of time. She is a wonderful, wonderful person. And the problem with having wonderful, talented, good staff,
put this full screen.
Administration change, they steal your people. It's just
Oh, this isn't live. Oh, good. We could skip forward.
2 of my staff, Marielle Saez, will be going to the administration as well. And I've asked the administration, please do not take any more of my people. But Shwanza Goff has just been extraordinary. Those of you who have dealt with her understand how bright she is. Now that's the bad news, Madam Speaker, that they've taken her. But the good news is she's going to be the administration's representative to the House of Representatives. So we're going to see a lot of Shwanza, and I'm sure she'll be talking to both of us on both sides of the aisle and urging us to vote one way or the other. Or
Acting Secretary of Defense confirms it was Vice President Pence, not Trump, who authorized deployment of National Guard.
Madam Speaker, and
What
I
a
know you
fucking
share my
embarrassment
view,
of a president.
those of us who have had an opportunity to work closely with Shwanza. I love Shwanza Goff. She is just a wonderful, wonderful spirit.
She's smart. She knows the rules. She knows the floor. And she has facilitated, and I think Mr. McCarthy and Mr. Scalise's staff would say the same thing if I'd given them any notice that we were going to do this. But I thought we had some time. And so, Schwanza, I really do want to thank you. And we wish you the best of luck. We know you're not going far. I know we're going to see a lot of you. But we wish you great, great success in everything you do thereafter. I tell my staff, Madam Speaker, that they can go off the payroll. They cannot go off the staff. God bless you. Good luck.
That was pretty cool. Again, like, ideally, for me, I don't think I'd ever get voted for. I don't think anyone's ever going to vote for me. I'd love to be a senator. I'd love it. I'd love the debate. I would love I would love all of it. Like, it'd be a lot of fun. Let's see how long this takes for them to reconvene. I'm going to hit the live button. They still haven't come yet, so we're hanging out here. We might watch a little bit of Vosh still, or we might actually move over to other stuff, because that's all kind of old news. Let's, I want to read this. I've heard this word thrown around. I think I know what it means, but I want to be a little bit more learned. Be pretty sure. 18 U.S. Code 2384. Seditious conspiracy. If two or more persons in any state or territory, or in any place subject to the jurisdiction of the United States, conspire to overthrow, put down, or to destroy by force the government of the United States, or to levy war against them, or to oppose by force of authority thereof, or by force to prevent, hinder, or delay the execution of any law of the United States, or by force to seize, take, or possess any property of the United States, contrary to the authority thereof, they shall each be fined under this title, or imprisoned not more than 20 years, or both. So fined, imprisonment, and that's forcible takeover of authority or the property. So, these domestic terrorists should probably be charged for that. The ones that they arrested, that they have evidence against, they should be charged and tried. They should be absolutely held to this. We can't have people taking over government buildings. It's a strange thing, but we can't have it. Now, in terms of, like, the senators and stuff, I don't know if they would be held to this. I'd have to see more convincing, but... Jesus. Looks like
Madam Speaker.
Yeah. Here we go.
Vice
We got the
President
court chester. Here we
of
go.
the United States Senate.
Fantastic. I don't think C-SPAN, like, coverage, I don't think this coverage is, I think I'm allowed to, I'm gonna throw it up there. We're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna throw it up there, but... Alright, Pence. Come on down, let's finish this. Dude, Pence really is the guy today that... It's interesting. There you see Klobuchar, Amy Klobuchar in the purple. She, I highly, highly think is going to be our... a main player in the years to come. Look at those boots. My goodness. Klobuchar's coming in with those boots. My lord, I've never seen someone with boots like that. That's crazy. They usually wear high heels. You go, girl. Alright, so now they're going to continue after Pennsylvania. I think it's what, like... Rhode Island, maybe? Set this back up. Going round 3 here. Let's see if there's any objections. I don't think there's going to be. But if there is, I'm GGing for the night. I don't want to hear more bullshit tonight. I'm done with the bullshit tonight. Pennsylvania was the biggest one, probably with the most... And I don't want to say the most evidence, because I know there's still no evidence, but with the least amount of, like... surety. Whatever. Such bullshit, man. They had like 2.5 hours to debate. The voting took a half an hour. Like, come on, man. The law says 2 hours. Jesus. All right. All right, Pensy boy. Here we go. By the way, today... Oh, never mind. Story for another time.
The electoral vote will resume. Tellers having taken their seats. Two houses retired to consider separately and decide upon the vote.
Mm-hmm.
The Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, to which objection has been filed. The Secretary of the Senate will report the action of the Senate.
In the Senate of the United States, ordered that the Senate, by a vote of 7 ayes to 92 nays, rejects the objection to the electoral votes cast in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania for Joseph R. Biden for President and Kamala D. Harris for Vice President.
The Clerk of the House will report the action of the House.
Ordered that the House of Representatives rejects the objection to the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania.
Pursuant to the law, Chapter 1 of Title 3
Pennsylvania's good to go.
States Code, because the two houses have not sustained the objection, the original certificates submitted by the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania will be counted as provided therein. Tellers will now record and announce the vote of the state of Rhode Island, President and Vice President, in accordance with the action of the two houses. This certificate from Rhode Island, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from the state that purports to be a return from the state. It has annexed a certificate of authority from the state purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Rhode Island seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 4 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California
Try to remember all the states.
received 4 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of Rhode Island that the teller has verified?
South Carolina, South Dakota.
The certificate from South Carolina, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from that state that purports to be a return from the state, and has annexed to it a certificate of authority of the state purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of South Carolina seems to be regular in form and authentic. And it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 9 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 9 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of South Carolina that the teller is verified, appears to be regular and authentic?
All right,
Hearing
South
none,
Dakota.
This certificate from South Dakota, the parliamentarians advise, is the only certificate of vote from that state that purports to be a return from the state.
Is there a South Carolina?
It is annexed to it a
Oh,
certificate
fuck.
of authority
No, we just did
from
South
the
Carolina.
state
I'm tired.
purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of South Dakota seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 3 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of South Dakota that the teller's verified appears to be regular in form and authentic?
Oof, we still got Wisconsin coming. Wisconsin's coming down the
from
line.
Tennessee, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from the state. It purports to be a return from the state, has annexed to it a certificate of authority of that state, purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Tennessee seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump, the state of Florida, received 11 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence, the state of Indiana, received 11 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote for the state of Tennessee that the teller has verified as regular in form and authentic?
Okay. Utah?
This certificate from Texas, the parliamentarians
Texas.
advise me, is the only
Forgot about
certificate
Texas,
of
my
vote
bad.
from the state. It purports to be a return from the state, has annexed a certificate of authority of that state, and purports to appoint ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Texas seems to be regular in form and authentic, and
Telling
it
you,
appears
Klobuchar.
therefrom that Donald J.
2024,
Trump of the state of
Klobuchar and Mitt
Florida
Romney might make their own
received
party of
38 votes
centrists.
for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 38 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of
The
Texas
establishment party.
that the teller is verified and
I
appears
could
to
see
be
it
regular
happening.
in form and authentic?
He might be a part of it. He might join
Hearing
up.
none, this certificate from Utah.
Try to take all those Trump supporters. We'll see. No, no, no. Oh no. Oh no, my internet, no. Uh-oh.
Verified and appears to be regular in form and authentic. Hearing none, this certificate from Utah.
Hey. No. No. God damn it.
President, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 6 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of Utah that the teller is verified to be regular in form and authentic? Hearing none, this certificate from Vermont, the parliamentarians advise me, is the only certificate of vote from the state, purports to be a return from the state, has annexed a certificate of authority from that state, purports to appoint or ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Vermont seems to be regular in form and authentic.
Vermont,
And it appears therefrom
Virginia,
that Joseph R. Biden Jr.
Wisconsin.
of the state of Delaware received 3 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 3 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of Vermont that the teller has verified as regular in form and authentic?
Dude, this guy's stepping up hardcore. Like, give Pence
This
shit, for
certificate
sure. He
from
deserves
the
it.
Commonwealth of Virginia,
But he stepped up. He's doing his
the
fucking job.
parliamentarians advise is the only certificate of vote from that state, purports to be a return from the state, has annexed a certificate of authority from that same state, purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the Commonwealth of Virginia seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 13 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 13 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the Commonwealth of Virginia that the teller is verified as appearing regular, in form, and authentic?
Greatest thing about this, Trump can't tweet shit right now because he's blocked. He's suspended or whatever.
This certificate from Washington, the parliamentarians advise, is the only certificate of vote from that state. Purports to be a return. The state has a certificate of authority from the same state purporting to appoint or ascertain electors.
President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Washington seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 12 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 12 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the state of Washington that the teller is verified?
Klobuchar could actually be the next Nancy Pelosi. She absolutely could. If not the next president or vice president.
Certificate from West Virginia, the parliamentarians advise, is the only certificate of vote from that state. Purports to be a return from the state. Has annexed a certificate of authority from the state purporting to appoint and ascertain electors.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of West Virginia seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 5 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 5 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote for the state of West Virginia that the teller has verified appears to be regular in form and authentic?
No. Next. Wisconsin.
This certificate from Wisconsin.
Here we go. This is the big one.
Parliamentarians advise is the only certificate from that state. Purports to be a return
Though they didn't do
from the
Michigan. So the odds of them doing Wisconsin is way less likely. I don't think they will. I think they're all fucking ready to go to bed. 3 in the morning there.
Mr. President, the
We'll see.
certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Wisconsin seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Joseph R. Biden Jr. of the state of Delaware received 10 votes for president, and Kamala D. Harris of the state of California received 10 votes for vice president.
For what reason does the gentleman from Texas
Oh,
rise?
no.
Mr. President, I object to the electoral votes of the state of Wisconsin because 71 House members, all of whom condemn violence as we witnessed today, are firmly committed to the resolution of disagreements in civil, lawful, peaceful institutions with full and fair debate, free of violence, and though not a single court is allowed an evidentiary hearing to listen to the significant body of evidence of fraud, and though some seize on the court's failures to misrepresent that, no court would listen
Come on,
to the
Senators.
evidence
Cruz, Hawley, you better
saying
shut the
evidence
fuck
did
up.
not exist, while Democrat leaders in Milwaukee illegally and
This isn't debate, sir.
created more than 200 illegal polling places. Tens of thousands of votes were changed by workers despite election workers' objections, plus so many other illegalities to fraudulently create a 20,000 vote lead. We object, along with a senator who now has withdrawn his objection.
Thank Christ.
Sections 15 and 17 of Title III of the United States Code require that any objection be presented in writing, signed by a member of the House of Representatives and a senator. Is the objection in writing and signed by a member and a senator?
It is in writing. It's signed by a member, but it is not signed and objected to by a senator, Mr. President.
Fuck.
In that case, the objection cannot be entertained.
Get their fucking ass out of here. Alright, next. This is why I can't be elected. I'd be way too fucking animated. I'd be like, sit your
This
ass down.
certificate from Wyoming, the parliamentarians advise, is the only
All right.
certificate of vote from that state.
I think we're good. I think we're clear. I think we're done with
Purports to
this.
be a return from the
Jesus,
state
fuck.
as an annex of a certificate of authority from same state.
Both
purporting to
sides,
appoint and
by the way.
ascertain electors.
Fucking stupid. Both sides.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the state of Wyoming seems to be regular in form and authentic, and it appears therefrom that Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida received 3 votes for president, and Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana received 3 votes for vice president.
Are there any objections to counting the certificate of the vote of the State of Wyoming that the teller is verified, appears to be regular in form and authentic?
That it?
Hearing none, the chair advises members of Congress, the certificates having been read, the tellers will ascertain and deliver the result to the President of the Senate.
Oh, they're gonna have Klobuchar do this? Hell yeah.
The undersigned, Roy Blunt and Amy Klobuchar, tellers
Klobuchar,
on the
my
part of
bad.
the Senate, Zoe Lofgren and Rodney Davis, tellers on the part of the House of Representatives, report the following as a result of the ascertainment and counting of the electoral vote for President and Vice President of the United States for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021. The report we make is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris will be the president and the vice president according to the ballots that have been given to us.
He has a statement.
All right. What other silly ceremonies do we do? What else happens during these things?
The whole number of electors appointed to vote for President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270.
70.
The votes for President of the United
306.
States are as follows. Joseph R. Biden, Jr. of the state of Delaware has received 306 votes. Donald J. Trump of the state of Florida has received 232 votes. The whole number of electors appointed to vote for Vice President of the United States is 538. Within that whole number, a majority is 270. The votes for Vice President of the United States are as follows. Kamala D. Harris of the state of California has received 306 votes. Michael R. Pence of the state of Indiana has received 232 votes. The announcement of the state of the vote by the President of the Senate shall be deemed a sufficient declaration of the persons elected President and Vice President of the United States, each for the term beginning on the 20th day of January, 2021, and shall be entered together with the list of the votes on the journals of the Senate and the House of Representatives. The chair now recognizes, for the purpose of closing prayer, the 62nd chaplain of the United States Senate, Chaplain Barry C. Black.
Okay. They really do prayers in the government buildings? Well, I mean, in God we trust, I don't know, I guess.
Pray. Lord of our lives and sovereign of our beloved nation, we deplore the desecration of the United States Capitol building, the shedding of innocent blood, the loss of life, and the quagmire of dysfunction that threaten our democracy. These tragedies have
strange.
reminded us that words matter and that the power of life and death is in the tongue. We have been warned that eternal vigilance continues to be freedom's price. Lord, you have helped us remember that we need to see in each other a common humanity that reflects your image. You have strengthened our resolve to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, domestic as well as foreign. Use us to bring healing and unity to a hurting and divided nation and world. Thank you for what you have blessed our lawmakers to accomplish in spite of threats to liberty. Bless and keep us. Drive far from us all wrong desires. Incline our hearts to do your will.
They always do
guide
prayers.
our
So
feet
interesting.
On the path of peace. And God, bless America. We pray in your sovereign name. Amen.
The purpose of the joint session having concluded, pursuant to Senate Concurrent Resolution 1, 117th Congress, the chair declares the joint session dissolved.
Okay, so that's it, right? That's it. When does that was a good fist bump. Nice. Maybe that's just the new thing now, because they can't shake hands. Maybe they just fist bump now. This is great, man. That's nice to see, especially from, Republicans. Okay, so this seems to be it. We're good. We're done. I'm pretty sure the Senate said that they are pretty much done till the 20th. Like, there's not much. I'm pretty sure that they said they wanted to not convene again. I think they said they're going to convene tomorrow, but not Friday. And then, oh man, there was a bunch of dates that he listed. Jesus Christ, what a day, man. Holy fuck, what a couple of 24 hours. I mean, you go from, okay, Democrats just took control of the Senate. This is going to be a pretty significant moment where Democrats are going to be in legit control for the next 2 years at least, able to pass the things they want to pass. Meaningful progress, meaningful change. Will it be all the way good? Who knows? We're going to find out. And this is kind of weird. It's so strange. And again, I have family members saying, well, drain the swamp. We want, populism. And it's like, well, look at what that got you. You now have a splintered Republican Party. Crippled. They were already at a disadvantage. Struggling to win elections. So much so that they have to, gerrymander and do all these crazy things to diminish votes. And that is how they barely got Clinton in, as well as Clinton being a bad pick, in my opinion, as well as the Russian stuff. I don't know how much of a role it played, but it was definitely a little bit of a role. It had to have been. All these crazy things. We go from that to the 4 years, and it's clear. Populism's cool. Sounds great. The rhetoric is amazing. But when it comes to lawmaking, it just doesn't work. It lost Republicans. Half of their body, right? Hundreds of House Republicans are Trumpists right now. And they are likely not going to be voting the way that Republicans want to go. They might, I don't know, it's kind of like the Tea Party, how that became its own little thing. I'm gonna assume that the Trumpists are gonna stick around for a couple years. Now your Republican Party is splintered. You were struggling to win. You're gonna struggle now even more because your Republican Party is splintered. Turning out to vote is gonna be easier and easier and easier for Democrats because Democrats are in control. They're going to loosen the restrictions that were put in place by Republicans, and it's just going to be an interesting few years, decades even, possibly. So this is crazy. This is good. But holy shit, coming from 24 hours ago where you control the Senate to this, having a day of fucking chaos, of insurrection, attempted coups, fucking murder, death. My goodness. I want to be, this is not a joke, I do want to be a fly on the wall, but I want to be a fly on the head of this guy right here, Pence, when he talks to Trump. That is going to be crazy. Crazy. Trump is not allowed to tweet right now. I'm pretty sure his ban is up in like 3-4 hours. Probably went to sleep. I don't know. Maybe he's not even sleeping. I don't know how you would be able to sleep after a day like today. It's going to be tough for me. But my goodness. Holy cow. Okay. Well, that was fun. Again, test stream, lag. Anyone on YouTube watching this, thanks. You got to the end. Anyone live who might have popped in, great. Awesome. Thanks for popping in. I appreciate that. But I'm still super sad. President-elect Poop Stain from YouTube didn't answer any of my questions. Just came in rattling off conspiracy theories, and whenever I would answer his questions, I was like, okay, cool, your turn. Answer question. He didn't. He kept going, which seems to be the case, which is sad. I wanted to talk, but I guess not. We did some stream stuff. We had over 81 frame droppage moments. I'm going to go look back at this stream, and we'll see what is going wrong, and we'll see if we can try to kind of fix it. I also need to look back at Monday's stream, even though I think I did already, and it was fine. So, will we stream tomorrow night?